it ain't since so long. All the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day, I'm right. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. Let's go. All sing your high line with the roller coaster of life. Yeah. It's time to all choose your timeline on the roller coaster of life. Oh, you seem to easily forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, all sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster. Oh, roller
Agency is underway. The Sabres, though, have had a relatively quiet afternoon so far. Prior to the 12 o'clock start, the team did re-sign Ryan Johnson to a 3-year deal worth $775,000. They've also re-signed Jake Rathbone to a 2-year AHL deal. And then once the bell actually rang, they have signed Mason Gerstein to a 2-year AHL contract. Sabres also pulled off a trade today, Sam Lafferty to the Chicago Blackhawks, but for just a 2026 sixth-round pick. One of the deals that the Sabres were reportedly linked to was from earlier this morning, but nothing has materialized yet, that being Elliot Friedman reporting overnight the Sabres could be signing goaltender Alex Lyon to a contract at the opening of NHL free agency, though again, no deal has materialized just yet. Darren Dreger, also a part of the reporting for the Sabres, as he has said Bowen Byram trade talk has started back up. LA Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues being the 4 teams mentioned in that. Dreger, though, also reported one team appears to be threatening to offer sheet Byram. Nothing, though, since that initial report. And then some of the other signings from today. Brock Besser stays put in Vancouver. He's re-signing with the team at a 7-year, $7.25 per year contract. And Vladislav Garakov makes the biggest splash of the day. He signs with New York at 7-year, $7 million per year. And then in baseball, the Bisons, they are back in action tonight against Rochester. They are at home. 6:35 is first pitch, and you can hear that game over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
All right, what's the report from outside?
I was outside for maybe 3 minutes. I counted 8 Q-tips. It's got to be one person that just throws their Q-tips out the window when they're done using them in their cars.
It's Mike Schopp.
One person?
More than one person using Q-tips and throwing them outside?
I don't think I use 8 Q-tips in a year.
I think I've never used 8 Q-tips.
And the Bulldog.
What the hell is going on out there? I don't think I want to work in a place where people roll their windows down if they're using Q-tips for Lord knows what and just throw them on the ground.
Well, you do.
What, is it the 70s?
Oh, that's not very nice.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Driving on the highway 65 miles an hour. I get a little left in my soda from the fast food drive. Out the window. That was the 70s. Who gives an F about anything?
Throw a burrito out the window.
Nothing matters. 2025, what are you doing?
On WGR.
Throwing Q-tips out of your car.
Sports Radio 550.
Some things change. Q-tips being thrown. Maybe that seems like an isolated incident. Some things don't. It is July 1st. Ironic for you that on your birthday, this miserable, depressing Sabres life is sort of in the spotlight. Mm-hmm. You really don't need it.
No.
Well, it really doesn't, but I want to say it almost feels like a bit. Just it isn't. It doesn't.
Yeah,
it's not a bit. It's not a joke.
No, but it does. It does allow you to sort of re-familiarize yourself. I missed this day last year. I was in Spain.
Getting speeding
tickets. And I don't remember the years before that. I can remember 10 years ago, but I can remember 2 years ago. As far as this day goes, for us in the show.
Right.
So for me, missing last year, it's been a little while. So I'm getting back up to speed with seeing guys I really didn't even want the Sabres to signing and going, oh. Right? Joe this morning tweeted one idea, Jonathan Drouin.
Yep.
Here's an idea. Probably shouldn't cost much. I don't know how hot the market will be for him. I'm I hate that idea. And now, just a little while before we started here, I saw he signed in the Islanders. Oh, no, that's too bad.
You're down in both counts.
But wait, I didn't want him anyway. But
then you thought
it would have been something, I guess, right? That happened. There was another guy in the last little while that signed also that I had the same reaction.
CC, I want to guess.
Well, no, that I feel like that's my birthday present. from the Sabres, that the Sabres did not sign Cody Ceci to 4 years and $18 million.
Well, that is the only good thing about this day every year. The only pleasure I can ever take in July 1st when it comes to the Sabres is when known bad players, they escape. They don't end up signing here, and that's funny.
Well, one way to avoid making bad signings is
not sign anybody.
Not to sign anyone. That's
right.
You're going to be safe that way. You're protected from, making horrible decisions.
That's the only good thing ever.
Yeah. And it really doesn't get you very far. I do mean it. I'm glad. Not that I ever thought. I don't want to say I didn't think it. I did think it. I knew he was a free agent, and I just thought that would be perfect. That would be just perfect. Just fit with the whole vibe. So I did consider it for a moment, but I never heard any idea that the Sabres were interested in him or anything. So anyway, but that only gets you so far. Feeling good about that, but it is something.
As pessimistic as one might be, you're certainly entitled to a full-on pessimism, but there was or is still a short enough list of goals, I think, here for them, having traded J.J. Peterka, figure out somebody who can help, replenish the offense, figure out what to do with Bo Byram. Goalie has been a totally respectable idea. Figure out what to do with that. If you really want it and you want just to be able to check at least one box, fill out Rochester. I mean, there's that every year. That seems doable. That's in the right, price range.
Seems like it's going great. Yeah.
That always happens, but none of the other things has happened. And really this started yesterday, or if you want, last week. Because that's when, there can be action, but it's the same dance, it seems, every year. Nope. And we had goalie. There was a report this morning that they will be signing, will be, right? Goalie Alex Lyon, but no, not yet. For some reason, we're well into the day, and that wasn't just sort of we don't have that yet as far as we know. Byram continues to be, that's the one to watch.
Yeah.
But, reports.
That is your best hope of getting some sort of proven NHL scoring back to replace Peterka is the Byram trade. Not that the Sabres couldn't sign someone to do that, but it's a pretty short list of guys that even, credibly fit that profile. So a trade is still
necessary.
It's necessary, and really the only it's necessary because it's the only way I think they're going to get a look at someone who could be even a 20-goal scorer, let alone 30. I don't want to shoot too high. So that is still what you got to monitor. And I just, an hour and a half ago or so, I saw a Darren, I don't know what the timestamp on it was, but pretty recently this afternoon, Darren Drager, it's heating up on Byram. And like we always talk about, I even said to Owen, he came downstairs just after I saw it, I said, I think be on the lookout. Byron's probably going to get traded because one of the big guys just said it's heating up. But there were 4 teams mentioned there, right? Calgary, St. Louis, Vegas, and the LA Kings. In the time since that tweet, I'm comfortable eliminating the LA Kings because they're the team that signed Cody Ceci and then also seconds afterward signed Brian Dumoulin. At least that's the order of how I heard it.
Either way.
So they're not making a big, not that either of those guys are Bo Byram, but they're not making a big move for a defenseman. I think they gave up. Is what that reads like to me. Like, we're not going to make this trade.
Right.
So let's do this other thing. So it's down to Calgary, St. Louis, and Vegas, at least according to Drager from, again, earlier this afternoon.
Yep.
And there's pieces on, I don't know about Calgary, but there's interesting guys on the Blues, I think. Just really depends on what they might want to, be interested in moving. And even like Vegas could almost do anything because they just spend and spend and spend. And like, I don't know what their plan is if they know they have to send something big contractually out. So maybe you can do something good there if they're looking to switch out they did make the big deal for Marner yesterday, so maybe Thomas Hertl's expendable or something. I don't know, but I think the Blues in Vegas are more interesting as trade partners. Looking at Calgary, I just don't see an NHL player there that I could see them moving. Matt Coronado would be a very interesting guy, but he's young and really good and still on the upswing, and I can't imagine them divesting themselves of him. So the rest of it is kind of not very attractive.
Well, I'll be excited to hear what happens. And, maybe something will, right?
We can hope.
What we do every year.
Right. We can hope.
On and around this day is what we do every year. Not always will there be like a number one thing that has to happen, but this year I think there is. I think it's that. And, some of these times it's the Sabres. Some of these times it just does not happen. And so, I'm not going to apologize for my cynical attitude about this because I think it's warranted. And I feel like being proactive is generally good. I would say that they were with Peterka. I would have much preferred they figured out a way to keep him, but apparently they decided that was not possible or worth doing. So he gets traded. That was, Wednesday. that was early for this,
right.
Which I don't want to ignore that. But I don't know. These signings like the Kings are a team reportedly interested, taking themselves out. And would it shock anybody to just have it sort of die on the vine and they can't get a deal done because they're not good at it? Would that really shock anybody? I also don't think the player is that good, which is why he really should be moved in the first place. And I wouldn't fault the Kings or anybody else from not wanting to meet what might be a steep price. That's the way it goes. You want to move a player, but you don't want to feel like you got cheated. And I don't know. The Sabres seem like they're so disadvantaged at this that maybe people are trying to, take advantage of them, or maybe their value on the player is higher than what is reasonable. Who knows? So there's Byram, and we don't have any NHL players that have been signed that we know of today. The guys, the names on the list are probably, they're two-way, under $1 million
right.
Players.
Right. There's a tough guy defenseman from the New Jersey system that certainly is ticketed for Rochester. There's another guy that was in Rochester that was re-signed, and that was announced along with another player whose name is escaping me that might be sort of in between those. But anyway, yeah, that's that. And Jacob Bernard Docker, who we wondered late in yesterday's show, we noticed that he was an omission on the qualifying offer list, and he has signed a 1-year deal in Detroit.
What's that about?
Very modest money. I have not the slightest idea. They have too many average defensemen, so they decided they didn't need them. I really don't know.
The obvious name is Bryson from their depth chart, right? But they extended him in March.
Right.
Why?
Good question.
Wanted to be here?
Yeah.
Is he good? Just
no.
What is this? How do you have this guy be, maybe it's not Norris for the trade, but, a meaningful enough piece in that trade? He didn't do anything, I think, that I would point to that rendered him, even if he did, it was 15 games. What did he do wrong other than just sort of be not Bryson? Or I just doesn't even make sense.
I think what that probably comes down to, given how the Sabres operate, is we don't want to pay you $875 or whatever that would have been. That's what he signed for in Detroit, so I don't know what the qualifying offer would have been.
It's close to that.
But it would have been close to that, I assume. And we don't want to pay you that to be in Rochester. So go play for somebody else. And because we think you're a he is a depth piece, literally, and so we're already paying Bryson to probably sit in the press box and be a spare part mostly. So we're not going to have two guys doing that. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm sure there'll be some team spun conversation about him not fitting, or Lindy didn't like the way, something or other, or the cut of his jib. I have no idea. But my best guess really would be they didn't think it was worth spending, $900,000 on a guy that they don't think is going to play in the NHL.
But, trading for him, caring enough about him in the first place to include him in that trade, and then so little time goes by, and then you're just out. I mean, wouldn't the move be to qualify him and maybe trade him? Wouldn't a real team just do that
or
without
keep
even
him
thinking
just
about
in
it?
case, whatever, you need a guy. I mean, I'm baffled by the decision making there, but it's done. So, and he's not. There's a philosophical objection to the way they're handling themselves here and doing business, but as far as the team goes, wasn't going to matter either way to me whether he was here or not. If he isn't here as a depth piece, some other guy will be, and it'll probably be fine, on the ice. But it just was weird that they didn't qualify him, I thought.
Well, it's almost like it should be sponsored when you get to the point where one of us says, "Not over yet." Just feels like such a chump thing to say. But it's true. It's not over yet. It's the first day.
Yep.
But even before today, much of the interesting, the interesting piece of the market, the percentage of the available players that would have been interesting at all, were kind of spoken for. And then today there was a little bit more of that. It's also very often a bad bet. Free agency, but a lot of this, who hasn't heard this before or thought it, a lot of this with the Sabres is symbolism. It's like announcing, and that's not to say you should spend $10 million on Jacob Bernard-Docker or somebody, or Cody Ceci, just sort of like announcing to your fans, to your own players even, to the league that you're, legit. That would be kind of cool. Yesterday, I sort of just fell into this thought about how it's been so long since they made a trade for a player that you weren't either somewhere between indifferent about the trade to just down about it. And like how a couple of their best players were acquired in trades that made you feel bad about the Sabres. Tuck for Eichel, Thompson for O'Reilly, and Thompson wasn't Thompson yet. I mean, that's worked out. But it's still like, there's almost maybe nobody on the roster that when you traded for him, or the lottery picks almost shouldn't count. Like, just sort of like, this is cool.
Yeah.
You and I broke our brains yesterday trying to think of the last one of those.
Right.
And maybe it's Jeff Skinner.
Yeah, maybe. Even Norris. I like the Norris swing, but it comes with such a disclaimer. Like you're saying, and it came to fruition almost instantaneously. Like, geez, I don't know. He's really good if he can stay healthy. He's the better player, better 200-foot player, more productive scorer. He's a better player. But, and then 3 games into his Sabres career, he's just nope. So it.
And there was this player today that they didn't qualify, and maybe a second in that trade.
Well, they sent a second with Cousins, I think.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Right.
It just feels so terrible to just like even talk like this. Just to sort of acknowledge it feels just like not good. That's the job here.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes as absolutely no surprise to anyone who knows anything about this franchise to have it be like this, because it almost always is on this day. It's never a fun day. But you'd like to think at least there would be some, efficiency edges where the Sabres might be able to exploit somebody or just, figure out good value somewhere. As of now, we don't have anything. And they got to get this Byram out of here. They just do. He serves no purpose playing with Dahlin. He gets buried when he's not. What's the point? If somebody's interested in him, you just got to do it.
I really hope they do it too. I do think if he is here, he's good with Dahlin. That pair works. Now, anyone should be able to work with Dahlin, so I can appreciate that. But I don't think it's a disaster if he's here. again, sort of another one of these things where it's like independent of the big picture. It's not but he's the only ticket I've got to find a scorer, so I have to do it. But if they end up stuck, that's a good pair. And yes, he's going to get carried by Dahlin, but that works. Like there were shifts last year where they were just all over the place together. So I can do a lot worse than having him on the ice for my team. I think he's a better player than you are saying he is. Myself, so it's not like he's going to hurt them if he's here, but the overall is bad. Like I need to change him out for something up front is what I need to do, and then find someone else to plug in to play with Dahlin, who's maybe not as talented as Byram, is gifted a skater or whatever.
Well, there's no question that they're trying to do that, right? In their way?
I think so.
Because people have been talking about him for forever, like this offseason. Like he's one of the top names for somebody who's a trade candidate in the league. I mean, his contract situation avails him to that. So what do you know when you hear that like the Sabres are trying to figure out a way? I mentioned the quote from Adams yesterday. What was it to the agent? Something like, I'm just being honest with him or something like that. Like it just tells you that they're not expecting, he's not a core piece to say the very least. So you just have to do it. And if he's on the team, it's a failure. Maybe he won't get buried playing with one of the 10 best defensemen in the NHL. That's good. But, you wanted to do it.
Right.
And then in that result, you wouldn't have been able to. You didn't.
So not doing it is another failure.
Yes.
Is what it comes down to.
Don't you think?
Yes, I absolutely agree.
He might not be as bad as I'm saying. But they want to do it. Their clues are everywhere. And it's just like, not yet. Here comes again. Maybe they will. But at this point, we don't have it. Here's Eric with us. Hi, Eric.
Hey, boys. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
So just kind of want to lay this out. I mean, I'm kind of bummed as to how things have gone. It feels like it's sort of business as usual with the Sabres. And the thing that terrifies me most of all is that if they start the next year $10 or $15 million under the cap, I'm looking at Alex Tuch and thinking that, he's got to start believing that $10 million a year, 25 of it up front in Carolina is going to start sounding pretty good. And, that's probably Dahlin right behind him. So I felt like if they didn't have the proper urgency this offseason to, get better, that, replacing guys like that means picking really high given their situation. I mean, if they don't do it now, I feel like they could be looking at another 10 years of drought, and that's real dark. I will hang up and listen, guys. Thanks.
There's no way you're going to get me to 10 more years of this, but it is bleak. Like the messaging, by the way, it's not Darcy Regier talking about, building and the future all the time. It's every time with Adams, it's about the right now. Like he knows the fans have heard enough and seen enough about prospects. So he's talking about the present. Where is it? It's not like we think their agenda might be one thing, but it actually isn't. It doesn't feel like that to me.
Right. We are not out here in the throes of early throes of a rebuild, urging him to do something to make the NHL team more credible and actually a playoff contender, an actual playoff team. That is the stated goal and has been 3 years in a row now, I think, right? It's time to take a step. Like that basically has been it 3 years. Because 3 years ago, they missed by a point. And then there was the fallback year that Granato got fired in, and now last year. All 3 of those years were, it's time for us to do something. And it it has not happened.
No. So unless we're being lied to, I think, that's kind of what we should be expecting, and we're just waiting for the action, waiting for the things to actually start to happen. Kevin is next. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, how you doing, guys? I just wanted to talk just kind of about, obviously, with Kevin Adams, it's obviously we all want moves to be made, right? But my biggest concern is how he is still somehow in charge of making moves when we know Jarmo is going to inevitably take over. So do we really want him making these big altering moves and, say, trading Byram for someone that's really underwhelming, like a third-line winger, even though we know we need a top six? Like, what's your guys' kind of view on that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to do. He should not have the job. I don't think there's any arguing that at this point, but he does. I'm not assuming Jarmo Kekalainen is going to take over. I might just as soon assume Jarmo Kekalainen is going to do time here and see how business is done here and run away as fast as he can. I have no idea what's going to happen there. So I'm not assuming that he's like in waiting. I mean, that might be great if it were to happen that way. I'm not assuming anything in that respect. So Adams, yeah, I mean, he had the keys at the deadline and traded Cousins for Norris and Bernard Docker, who did not get a qualifying offer yesterday. And
so that meant nothing.
Right. And now we're into another, cycle of important decision making. We just went through a draft. He traded J.J. Peterka. Like, he's got the keys. You can't stop that right now. You can say, I think last week, one day, I said it should be said maybe every day, every hour, every segment, that it's ridiculous that he still has the job. But he does. So I'm counting on him to make a good trade. Yikes.
Thanks, Kevin. 803-0550. Rob Ray will join us today. Talk about life and also what's going on with the Sabres. That's probably what we should talk about with Rob. He's always fun to talk about life with. So if it ends up being sort of like 80-20 life.
Yeah, well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Rob always comes through. He delivers. It's Bulldog's birthday. We're excited about that.
We are.
Right? I am.
I don't know.
I am excited about that. I'm excited that it's your birthday.
I appreciate your excitement.
Yes. Aren't we all excited? Cool. All right. Lines are open for more of your calls. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
where players aren't asking out. You want to get to a point, and it's not going to happen overnight. You're having what happened in Florida. There was a point in time when no one wanted to be a Panther. It wasn't exciting to go play hockey down there. But they got to the point now where Aaron Ekblad took a massive discount. He probably could have made $8 million on the open market, and he's staying for, I think it's 6.1. That's where you want to get to. But, baby steps, and then you have to make decisions along the way.
Well, that's living the dream. Luke Fox yesterday on our show from Sportsnet, if you can get your best players to play for what's perceived as a discount, and almost definitely is, we'd settle for not just, paying a guy $3 million than his probable market value, but, maybe even $3 million more would be okay, right? Like, Ekblad, didn't get to market, but if he did, and if the Sabres, felt like that was their number one target, you could have paid him
10
record amounts to get him to come over.
Yep.
But that is not going to happen either.
No, there's really not a player left out there, I don't think, that even would warrant that kind of even if you wanted to do it, which you'd have to do some convincing of me to get me to think that they wanted to do it. We're a long ways from wanting to match what Ryan Suter and Zach Parise got from the Minnesota Wild, or whatever Shane Doan was offered, some crazy amount of money. We're miles from that. But even now, like there's just nothing out there. And Marner got traded yesterday. Besser is staying in Vancouver. Ehlers is the one guy that the big guys, at least one of them I saw, I don't remember which, LeBrun, Friedman, Drager, that's going to take some time. Don't expect anything on that today. It's going to be, he's weighing options and is just going to take his time. That's a big name that's still out there. But Marchand re-signed. I'm just going through here. Gavrikov signed with the Rangers today. I haven't seen anything on Granlund. I'm just going through the list ESPN.com had of the top guys. Provorov is staying in Columbus. No thanks anyways. So there's not even an overpay candidate, even if you wanted to.
Great.
Although Ehlers, I guess, would be that. If his
I think so.
If his market is 10, say, 5 for 10 or more, you could try to blow that out of the water, I suppose, and give him Marner's contract or something. It's not worth it, but that's the definition of an overpay. That's the one guy, I guess, that is still out there. But I doubt as he's taking his time through this that he's thinking, boy, I sure wish the Sabres would call.
I would like to survive here without having to do something as obviously desperate as that would be. I like the player like everybody else does, but it's just so obviously desperate. That's not optimal, right? What is kind of how they tell you it's always trying to work, to do that organically. Guys who want to be here, that whole thing, that speech. And because they're not going to spend up, that's really the only chance of anything, is to do it like that. You do that with coaching. You do that with, infrastructure, I think. And does anybody think the Sabres have that down? Like, just sort of, I can't tell you what I know or that I know, but it just seems so obviously lacking, whether that's the facilities or coaching staff, whatever it is. They have every problem right now, I think. And, maybe I'm wrong, but even yesterday, Paul's talking about development camp and how they don't have as many guys as before. And last year they did cooking classes and sort of team bonding, or in the past, maybe not last year, but in the past. I'm like, so they're not doing that now? And why? I don't even know. But it's just sort of, the taste is so sour, I think I could believe anything about just what doesn't happen, which sometimes I might be right and sometimes I might be wrong. But you're trying to what? What are you trying to do, actually?
Trying to get to a place where you can, without contorting your brain into it's just unintelligible levels of knots, something good, something credible. Like, hey, this is good. Right? We're they make the deal for Peterka, and what am I saying on Thursday? I like these guys. This is good. And there was no contortion necessary. Like I still do. I like those guys. But there has to be this other piece. And if there is not the other piece, and I start hearing about Quinn, being healthy again, and Benson elevating, which is happening,
you will.
Then I'm losing hope. It doesn't mean I don't like Kesselring and Doan, but it's not, I don't think, enough to get you where you're going to get fans to be like, okay, I see it now. I mean, last year, their big move was Lindy.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it. And we were fearful that was just going to be preying on our emotions, and guess what? It mostly was, as it turned out. And now he's like, his voice, he's telling Kevin Adams how the league works and all this stuff, and like, how long is he going to be here? Like, I don't know. The whole thing is just so messed up. They just keep sort of recycling the same ideas with some different words, and there's different people at the fulcrum of these ideas, but they're still kind of the same ideas. I said already, this is year 3 of it's time for us to do something. It's time for us to get there. And, this and last year, right, Lindy comes in, and it's Beck Malenstein and Sam Lafferty and Kubel, thank you. And like, here's fast fourth line. Okay, all right. That can work. That Malenstein is welcome back, Beck Malenstein. You had the misfortune of coming here with more than 1 year left on your contract, so you're still here. Although Lafferty got traded today with a year left on his contract. Thank you for that, by the way. The only things we're celebrating today are them getting rid of guys that serve no purpose.
Yeah, celebrating is
so congrats on that. But that was last year. Harder to play against, right? Speed, and that's going to work all over the ice for you, and just that's going to do the trick. And 2/3 of that is already gone after 1 year, and it's replaced by Josh Doan. And okay, what? Like, how is this all supposed to fit together? My top 6 right now is what? Quinn and Benson are in it right now. And tell me how that is warranted on any real NHL team. Quinn could play himself back into deserving that role. He should not walk into the season in that role, and I don't know what else they're going to put there. Like, unless they make this move with Byram and get a piece that credibly fits up there. That is what they need to do still.
Stay tuned and find out if this happens. That's my polite recommendation. Rob Ray coming up at 4. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR. and Aaron Judge was up in the first inning just a few minutes ago, and I thought maybe you were just going to turn it off after yesterday's smack. I want to watch pitchers, he said. Aaron Judge doesn't do it for me. There he was up, just taunting you. Walked, Yankees up 2-0 early in Toronto, first inning. Joining us on the West Her birthday hotline is Trista Crick. Hi, Trista.
Oh, look at yous guys.
Hey.
Look at yous.
One of the most gentle giants that I've ever met in person. Very sensitive. Felt like I was leaving him out back in the early days, but we got ourselves together. We're bonded for life. Happy birthday, Bulldog.
Trista, thank you so much. Mike, thank you. Mm-hmm. This is I'm over here. You know how this business works, Trista. It's like 3:40. He's going to break. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Why are we going to break so early?
Oh, you did think that?
I did. I didn't say anything on the air or off. I just like, whatever. You got your reasons. You needed to take your breath. I don't know. Whatever. But it was for this. To leave time for Trista.
Time.
Yes, wonderful. They want to squeeze you into the little 45 segment, Trista. So, yeah.
How could I say no to saying happy birthday to one of my favorite people in Buffalo, the ride or die Bulldog?
So nice. What are you doing right now? You're driving?
Yeah, I just picked up some ribs. So I drove by one of the butcher shops nearby my mom's house and saw them out there smoking. They're smoking early, and that was about 2 hours ago. So I went and got some green bean starts over at the neighborhood vegetable garden, and on the way back picked up some pork ribs and some beef ribs for some lunch. So I thought that was a nice little errand before I got on the air. We're going to Vegas next week for Summer League. This NBA free agency has been like drinking water out of a fire hose, so I'm doing a lot on that. But eating some ribs in the meantime.
What is the biggest thing? This even is more touching now, realizing that it is NBA free agency day, because that's your racket, and you're carving out time for us and for me, and it's just so thoughtful. What's the biggest thing today? The Lillard buyout in Milwaukee? Is that
I think so.
Yeah,
he's your guy.
I've never, and I know you guys aren't like the biggest NBA fans, but historically speaking, to waive and stretch a top 75 player of all time. Yes, he's injured with $120 million left on his contract, and not tell the star player of the team that you're trying to keep is just stunning. And then on the heels of that, signing away one of the centers that was on the team that was just in the finals, the bitter rival of the Milwaukee Bucks, just an entirely shocking, jaw-dropping, no one saw coming kind of thing.
But this is pretty much par for the course for the NBA. Isn't it? Like at the trade deadline and in free agency, there's always stuff that is just
madness.
Whoa! Yeah. What happened now? Is that Kevin Durant's music again? Like it's usually a pretty crazy time.
Right.
It is. It absolutely is. I think in this particular case, we're seeing this new collective bargaining agreement come to a head, and what teams have to do is are make very difficult financial situations and decisions. To try to keep financial flexibility and not lose draft picks down the road, to be able to sign guys, to be able to have the ability to trade freely with all the restrictions that you get when you're, above the luxury tax line. And there's all kinds of nerd stuff that you have to sort of navigate. But this is the result of that, and this is the first time we've really dealt with it. So I think there's going to be a lot more players in motion, a lot more of these waiving. Like you saw DeAndre Ayton, number 1 overall draft pick, get waived by or bought out by the Blazers. Just a lot more of that to keep the financial flexibility going. And that, as a result, I think impacts players and their lives and what they do next in a massive, massive way.
Trista Crick joining us for Bulldog's birthday on the West Her Hotline. It probably wouldn't be, sporting of me to ask you hockey free agency questions. You've called in. It's not to use Bulldogs TK Puck's music exactly, but it is today too, July 1, and the Sabres is kind of a lonely thing this day. Today, this year has not yet been any exception where you're really dealing with players wanting to leave or that have to go for whatever reason. So there's that.
What's it going to take for the Sabres to be like a team you guys are invested in, feeling confident moving forward in?
That's the right question. Yesterday, I tripped on a thought about how even some of their best players were players that they acquired in trades that were upsetting because the bigger star, the more important player at the time at least, ended up going in the trade. So it just feels very small time. And when they've been good in the past, it's sometimes just kind of happened out of nowhere. I don't think it's all luck. But something like that, it's going to have to happen on the ice because they engender, in my opinion, very little confidence off of it.
I'm thinking some sort of a sacrifice is going to be needed here, probably.
A sacrifice.
A sacrifice of some kind. But yeah.
A blood sacrifice?
Yeah.
Like a firstborn?
Something violent.
An animal, maybe. Not a human, I think.
I wasn't thinking that way, but... Yeah.
I don't know, Trista.
You can't sacrifice animals, not lambs. No.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm sorry. It's such. We've been, together in here for, what is it now, 22 years?
Today is your birthday, but today is the anniversary of when I started working here.
Okay.
Which is before me and you, but right. 2002.
Okay. So, anyway, we've been together a long time, and this day... obviously it's been my birthday the entire time, and it's NHL free agency day, and it has been one of the worst days to be on the radio ever. I mean, there shouldn't really be any bad days. There's no complaining. The gig is really, really great. But a day like today, multiplied by 25, is, it's got me at sacrifice time. Yeah. Because it's a brutal day, and it has been, even though the Sabres have been good at times, of course, during our on-air partnership here, rarely, if ever, has July 1 been a good day for them. It's usually their best guys leaving or them not doing anything. So it's a tough day.
That's a disappointing piece of information to get. On a positive side, your Sacramento Kings have gotten Dennis Schroeder, who is not a very impactful player, but just one for Buffalo fans to note, considering that that's basically your team.
That's right. We're the Sacramento of hockey. Yeah.
Yes.
I guess.
Exactly.
Sure. All right. What'd you think of the finals before you go?
Oh, I loved it. I hate. This is what I'm going to do right before we go. I'm going to get up on my soapbox and get really aggressively strong about this take, which is I don't care about ratings. I don't want to hear about ratings. I don't think other analysts and commentators should be discussing ratings. What we should be discussing is the compelling basketball matchup. And what we got was, I think, the best matchup I've seen since maybe 2000 and it's been at least 15 years. And so we haven't gotten a Game 7 where it was this back and forth throughout the series, where you were getting these heavy hitters, these blows, where you had intrigue and it felt like the series was swinging. And so to me, I felt like as much as it was a small market thing, I don't really care about that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anyone else should care either.
Like it? Good take? Thanks for fitting us in today. Enjoy the ribs.
Thank you for also Love Island. That's the new show that I'm on. I know everybody's interested in it. It's cotton candy. It's definitely not up you guys' alley, but if you start on it, you probably won't stop watching it.
I mean, don't assume that I wouldn't like it. I did Love Is Blind, so maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
maybe you like Love Island.
Yeah, I'm the judgmental jerk face here. I'm not going within 100 feet of that thing.
Not only did I watch Love Is Blind, I'm admitting it. So, boom. I didn't like myself for it, but I like the show.
Bulldog, before I let you run, what are you doing today?
Oh, you don't want to hear this sob story. I played golf this morning. That was great. Played very well. Was very happy about that.
What, are you putting your dog down?
No. It's just my I have no plans. My wife worked overnight last night and is working overnight again tonight. We're sort of treating Thursday and Friday more as my birthday, and so this nothing. I'm going to go home and eat a sandwich and watch a baseball game. I don't have any plans at all.
Something satisfying though about that, just the lack of plans. You know, it's
So nothing
relaxing.
going on. I mean, absolutely nothing.
There.
Well, nice, good chat, really good chat.
I mean, I turned 60 today, Trista. I need to pace myself.
At least you got out and played golf in the morning. That's more than I would do at 40. So.
All right. See, there you go. All right. Really means a lot that you made the time to call in. Thank you for
this. As a former golf star, saying
Bulldog, you're the best. I love you. Schopp, I also love you. Don't feel left out. And I would also submit a call into you for your birthday. But Bulldog, you're the absolute best.
Yeah,
a friendly, gentle giant.
You're going to need me to be thoughtful enough to think of that. Is what you're going to need. And
I doubt that.
That might be a struggle. But thank you for this.
Thanks, Trista. Talk to you soon.
All right, y'all. Love you. Bye.
Enjoy your summer, Trista.
Love
Crick.
you too. Thanks, Mike.
There she is. Rob Ray coming up. The Sabres have announced the signing of Alex Lyon, the goalie, last with Detroit. He's been on a few teams over 8 years. It'll be his 5th team. But that was reported this morning that they would be doing that. We were wondering why it wasn't made official, but it is being made official now. Announced by the team. 2 years, $1.5 million average annual value. So a smaller contract, but something. Again, Rob is next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
The Buffalo Sabres starting to get active just a few hours into free agency. The team has announced they have signed goaltender Alex Lyon to a 2-year deal worth $1.5 million per year. And then before this, the team also announced the re-signings of Ryan Johnson to a 3-year deal worth $775,000 and re-signing Jake Rathbone, a 2-year AHL deal. And the team has also announced a trade forward Sam Lafferty to the Chicago Blackhawks for a 2026 6th-round pick. Darren Drager, just a few hours ago, reported the team is also starting to take talks again on Bowen Byram for a potential trade, and 4 teams were named in that report: LA Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues. LA, though, may be out after recent moves. They have added defenseman Cody Ceci, 4-year, $4.5 million per, and Brian Dumoulin, 3-year, $4 million per, and along with that, they've added goaltender Anton Forsberg, 2-year, $2.25 million per year. Brock Besser, he is going to stay in Vancouver. He's re-signing on a 7-year, $7.25 average annual value. And Vladislav Gavrikov makes the biggest splash of the day. He signs with the Rangers 7 years, $7 million per year. And then in baseball, the Bisons, they are back in action at home against Rochester. First pitch at 6:35, and you can listen to that game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
If you wrap foil around that, just like the little bit of the base part of the banana where the fruit is, wrap foil around that top and they will last longer.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
Who needs your bananas to last longer, though?
Look, I don't want to go to the store every other day for bananas.
They're 8 cents each.
What the hell are you talking about? What is going on?
You're going to wrap them in foil?
They're better when they're just a little green. Yeah.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Too much work.
Not that much trouble.
Too much work.
Says the guy that's got a spreadsheet with 3,000 fantasy teams.
On WGR Sports Radio 550.
Welcome back. It is July 1. Free agency in hockey. Canada Day. Bulldog's birthday. To different extents, we're celebrating all of these things in studio, the Just Called Jed studios today, by the way. Glad to have you with us, even including those of you who watch the stream on Twitch and YouTube. Thanks for that. With us now on the Worcester Hotline is Rob Ray, who goes back, Bulldog, a long time with you. I thought it'd be great to talk to Rob today, considering everything that's happening. Rob?
Good Lord, we do.
Thank you.
What Hall of Fame is next for you, by the way? You're just...
I don't know, guys. 2025 must be a really slow year out there, so they're just trying to fill holes.
Buffalo broadcasters,
right. On the heels of the Sabres honor from this past January as well. So we go back. We go way back. I was interning, I think, when I met you.
Yeah, we used to do those remote shows at different places, and that went on for a few years. And it was good. We always had fun. You're one of the few people that I think really can relate to me and understand me.
Well, I take that as a very high compliment.
No, you should, because there's not many people out there that can.
Bulldog gets you, Rob, you're saying. He gets you.
Yeah, and like I said, my family doesn't even get me sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I sat and watched you sign every autograph for every kid countless times, hours past your, arranged time for the hour for our show. And I'm going to tell you this, not that I would never put myself on a par with you from a popularity standpoint, but I took notes from you, like how you treated people. I learned a lot sitting next to you. You might not have thought that I was taking notes, but I was taking notes.
And I think that's smart. I think you learn from your elders a little bit, and I learned from other guys and family, and so you pass those traits on, dog. And it's good that you're open enough and not too proud that you can't learn along the way. So that was good.
Elders? Rob, I'm 60 today.
Yeah, well, there's not many people older than what you are, but they, even though they're gone, you still have to consider those as help along the way.
Rob using the Paul material here, which I appreciate.
Don't compare me to Paul, please. I will hang this phone up right now.
If I may, did you have to learn that sort of magnanimous approach to fans? And, because sometimes I'm sure it can be frustrating, but was that something that came naturally to you, or did you maybe have a mentor or somebody you looked up to in this way?
Nah, you know what? I grew up in a town that only had 1,200 people, and when you knew everybody and you didn't want to tick anybody off or you didn't want to be friends with because there was only a few people there. So, no, I think it's this way my family was all the time. My family had a business, a fire machinery business, and growing up and just watching how my mom and dad treated people when they come into our place. And I think it was just, kind of the way everybody was. And it just kind of instilled you. But there was guys like, when I first got here, Mike Ramsey, Mike Foligno, all those kind of guys that really took the time, pulled you aside, and gave you hints on how to deal with different situations and deal with people too, because they had gone through it in a totally different way. So yeah, I think you're crazy if you don't learn from people that have gone through it. And I respect the heck out of those guys, so I was more than willing to sit back and take in everything they were going to offer.
Well, I'll say that I also have admired that about you from the 716 days, and even while being the way you are, having fun to, poke fun at certain fans like that Rangers guy.
Except for that time when that Ranger guy wanted to really fight.
Well,
you.
Some people just deserve it.
Sometimes
if you're going to put yourself out there like that, sometimes you just have to expect it, and you better have thick enough skin to take it. That's the problem now. Too many don't have thick enough skin to take it.
And that's where you come in. Rob Ray on the West Her hotline. So are you, I'm feeling maybe not, but are you sort of glued to social media today, tracking signings?
No. No, you know what? By the time the season's over, I just had enough, and I just kind of walk away for a few months, and then I'll start looking at it later on. Like even, going down to see the kids at Dev Camp and that, whatever. I'll see those guys in a few years, and right now hey, it's family time. It's my time. I served my sentence all winter, and now it's time for myself.
Works.
I can get behind that. Yeah. Well, what do you think of the idea that Byram is like the last piece? I mean, I assume you are following it closely enough to know that the Sabres have been efforting to trade this player, and that they have, I think, a pretty significant hole to replace because of the Peterka move. I like the players they got in the Peterka trade, but I think they need to turn Byram into something to help supplement what they lost in Peterka's offense. What do you think of that?
Well, Bowen Byram he's a heck of a player, and everybody knows it out there. So if you are going to move him, you're going to should get a really nice return for it, and you should be able to fill the holes that you have by doing that. If you don't trade him, then who cares? He's fantastic. You sign him and let him continue to play, and your D got even better. But no, you know what? It's a game. You don't do it all at once. It's one leads to another. You let Sam go today, and you save a couple $1 million. You can use that towards something else. I think the whole plan is all the time with anybody. It's the little ones adding up to make that bigger one. It just doesn't always come at once. It may take some time.
How about sort of like the youth at this point on the Sabres, yeah. Rob? It's been a young team for a long time. You had Kulik emerge this year. I think maybe we wanted to be hopeful, and still can be, that there'll be a Rochester influx coming, but I don't know, it hasn't really manifested yet. And you hear Kevin Adams talking a lot about pushing this year. I think re-signing the guys they did late in the season in Zucker and Greenway was, a move toward that. So there's got to be some urgency here, I would think, at this point.
No, yeah, but there's a key of signing those guys because they're well respected in the room and in different ways and with different groups. Not one guy influences the whole group, so you have to have different style of players, different personalities to influence, the different players you have in your team. I think that's a smart move on their part. They're so well respected that they become those leadership roles, and even if they don't know it, they're in it. That it's smart, and I think the young guys you have, we have a young team, but they've been through an awful lot, man. They've had highs, lows, So these guys are maturing so much quicker than guys, and getting the opportunity to play faster than guys on other teams, maybe even better teams, because they're not playing as much, they don't play as big a role. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and I think that hopefully the young guys that are here are taking all that in, and it speeds that process up a little bit.
Sabres have signed goalie Alex Lyon today, and also winger Justin Danforth, who spent 4 years with Columbus, 31 goals in 4 seasons. Goalie is interesting right now, Rob.
Yeah.
With this move with Lyon, not for big money, but somebody who's been in the league a long time. Seems right to me that they would have wanted to add a veteran goalie. He comes in for Reimer, I guess. But what do you think they should do or will want to do with their other goalies, namely Luukkonen and Levi? Is it a sign that maybe Levi is still maybe destined for Rochester, or should they want to move somebody? What do you like here?
That it does open that door if they did decide to move somebody, but I think you got to have that third guy, even that fourth guy that maybe in your mind that is always pushing the other guys too. They got to get better. They get pushed. If they get comfortable, then they're not improving the same. Lion's been around. He's been around a lot of different places. You've got to keep Luukkonen and Levi playing as much as possible, whether it's here, there. I don't think you have one here play a majority of the games, the other guy sitting on the bench. I don't know if that's good for them. I think as much as they can play, it's going to be better off for them. A guy like Lyons coming in as kind of the outsider, he could be that guy that, just sort of plays the minimum and allow these other two guys to battle it out. So whether it's here or in Roch. But it's a position you got to play. It's not a position you can get better in practice. Yeah, you work on fundamentals in practice and all that, but it's totally different in the game. So whomever and both of those guys, I would say they're at the top of your priority list, that you've got to play them and have them play as much as they can in either place. And you can't have them sitting for long periods of time and not thinking that, you're just being a third goalie here and, you're going to play sparingly and you all of a sudden you get 3 guys even in practice. You don't get the same net time. You don't get the same work time. It's tough. So whatever Lyons is here all year as a backup role and Levi up and down, or the two of them are here and Lyons down there, they got to play, and especially Levi and Luukkonen.
Well, I definitely agree, and it took them a while here. I mean, it's wild to think about how it started for Levi, showing up at the end of that season right out of college and goes right in and plays, and then the new season comes around and he's opening night and here we go, and that lasted 4 games or something, or I don't even know. But now they're letting him cook, and I think that's good.
I think it is too. I think you look at all the good teams in the past; those kids have, as you said, cooked in the minors and learned, and then they start coming up together. It's hard when 1 or 2 comes up at a time. You want 2 or 3 of them coming up and they're a part of it. But I just think with the goaltending thing, they mature at different times too. It's very similar to a D. Some guys are on a faster pace, some guys are on a different pace. But I think it's important too, having them here for periods of time. Learning the league, learning the players. Being around the NHL side is much more inspiring. That if you do go back down, it keeps pushing. You know what you're missing to work to get back here too.
I have a feeling I know the answer we'll get to this, but this is another off season here where harder to play against. Size certainly seems to be at a premium for them, with certainly some of the draft picks that were made on Friday and into Saturday, Rob. I say it's familiar because last year was a lot of this too. They kind of remade the third and fourth lines both, really. And now we're kind of doing that again to an extent. Would you say that is certainly called for? Is it the thing that might be what's holding them back the last few years, that they just don't have enough pushback and enough size and toughness to handle the heavier teams?
Well, I think they did a decent job last year filling in that third, fourth line, but I think the big thing they're trying to do now is stiffen up that defensive core a little bit. Darlene Power, these guys, Byram, they're not going to be your most physical guys out there, but you need somebody to carry that load. And I think by bringing in a couple of guys that they did, that it will help in the defensive zone. It'll be, a little harder to play in front of the net, a little harder in the corners, all that kind of thing. And then it loosens up those guys as well. If everybody's the same kind of player, it's hard. But if you got, a little bit of grit on each pairing, then it makes such a huge difference. It just takes the wear and tear away from, Dolls and Powers and these guys where they can go play their game. So I like how they've they've put a little size and a little more, bite back there on the back end, and I think that's going to help it huge.
Sabres announced the signing of Tyler Kozak to a 3-year deal. Paul?
Yeah.
Tyson Kozak.
Tyson Kozak, thanks. Paul liked I'm only saying that Paul liked him, Rob. I'm not starting a Paul thing, but Paul liked Kozak last year.
One of the few smart things Paul said. Yeah. I love it. This kid is smart out there, and it's not all about, the points and all that. He's so sound defensively. He reads the play really well. He's a great skater. To play the game, he plays the game the right way. And I think he can play with just about anybody out there in any situation. I like the kid. I think he brings an awful lot. And, a lot of the times maybe offensive side, everybody looks and, he doesn't score enough. He brings so much more to the game, by playing the game right than most do.
Florida, Rob.
Yeah,
so
pretty good, eh?
I'm guessing that's a team. Bulldog was just gaga over this Panthers team, how they play. You?
Yeah, but I'm not worried about them next year.
Really?
Why? You think they're just getting out of gas 3 straight
They're not
trips?
even going to sober up in time by the time the season starts next year, so it's going to be a challenge for them. I do the same thing. But, no, it's deep, man. It's deep, and you know what I like now that they're all starting to stay there, take less and stay, and that's what you got to kind of build. These guys want to be a part of it, and it's not always the money. It's the majority of it's the winning and being in that atmosphere and around that. Listen to anybody and talk to guys around that organization, how tight these guys are. They spend a ton of time together. So it's a pretty cool place to be right now. Obviously changes in time, but it's so deep. They're so physical and hard to play against and in your face the whole time. They got great goaltending. It's offensively, they got guys that can fill the net. Yeah, it's a pretty nice group.
So best for the Sabres if they can play their 3 or 4 games against Florida right away.
Get them early.
Right away.
Florida early in the season.
Right.
Get them early.
That really turned pretty quickly. It's hard to maybe think back on because there are 3 straight Stanley Cup finals here now, but it wasn't that long ago, Rob. You'd turn a game on. You worked games there where you'd look at the crowd and think, like, how is this sustainable? There's just nobody here. I
remember being in Florida one night, and I'm being in Florida one night, and RJ turned to me and he goes, "Don't talk too loud because we're going to echo through the whole building," because there was nobody there. There was 5,000 people or 8,000 people, whatever it was. And it just goes to show you that the product on the ice fills the building, and that's exactly what's happened there. And now it's a going concern. And now they think they're the greatest thing in the world, and it's tough, but it's just the way it is.
Speaking of the broadcast, before you go, Rob, we've all known Joe Pinter a long time. Sorry to read about his departure from the team.
Yep. No, Joe, good guy. I'll tell you what. The little bit I do know about this business, I learned from Joe, and he was such a great guy to work with and good friend. And you know what? It's pro sports, man, and everybody has shelf life, and everybody knows that going into it. And hey, Joe is a good enough guy, knows enough people, smart enough guy. He'll be doing something, and I think he's just happy to try something different.
Producer on the Sabres broadcast for a long time. Since they were on Empire, that's how I met Joe. Right. He was working in that role when I was over there.
Long time. Yeah, long time. He's been 35 years or so there.
37, I
More.
read. Yeah,
37?
right. Yeah, 37. With the organization, not all in the same role that he had here, but I know he had that role for a good long time, for sure.
Yeah.
So what's the rest of the summer here? You got lacrosse, you got baseball. Is the kid playing hockey? The boy?
Hockey here.
Yeah.
A little hockey still. Kid's starting to get into the beer league, scene a little bit. So got to go to Chicago here next month for a camp.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Italy in August. Little family time.
Italy for hockey or a vacation?
No, vacation.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
They don't play hockey in Italy, do they?
I mean, they're hosting the Olympics, there is.
That doesn't mean they've had the Olympics in China.
A lot of places. It's good.
A lot
good
of
point.
places.
They play hockey everywhere now, right?
If you got a speeding ticket in Italy, would you pay it?
Probably not.
Bulldog is still sitting on a speeding ticket from Spain last year. He's just sort of waiting.
Plan on going back?
That's the thing. I feel like as long as I don't go to Spain, I think I might be okay.
Yeah, I think you're good. You're good.
He's worried about like adjacent countries. He's been thinking about Andorra recently.
At your age now, you should be staying put. You don't want to travel too far from home.
There it is. Hey, Rob, thanks a lot for this. Nice to talk to you again, and I'll see you around the Monsignor Martin lacrosse circles,
sir.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and maybe next time we'll let you win.
That'd be great.
Wow.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you,
I'll
Rob.
work on that.
Good to talk
right,
to you,
buddy.
Rob. Appreciate
Happy
the time.
birthday, Doug.
Thank you, buddy.
Have a
Really
good one,
appreciate
man.
it.
See ya.
Yeah.
Rob Ray on the Wester Hotline. Yeah, Joe's Canisius stuff.
Yeah.
You see Rob. He's one of the other team's parents. You can't really even talk to him. It's just like that.
And he's going to hit you with a "we'll let you win next time."
Yeah.
Ugh, tough.
The rivalry is fierce.
Yeah.
So Danforth happened while we were talking with Rob. 5'8" winger, 32. And he's been a role player by the numbers, it seems, for Columbus. But
Right. Yeah.
maybe Lafferty? Right?
Lafferty replacement, sure, I guess. I don't know that I needed a Lafferty replacement, but this is what this probably looks like.
And Kozak was in the organization already.
Yeah.
He was,
Yeah, he was tendered the
tendered
RFA,
yesterday.
and they went ahead and just did a multi-year deal rather than let him play on that. And the year one of that is like two-way, so if he's in Rochester, it's a much lesser salary, but years 2 and 3 are not. And it's totally realistic to me at some point here, whenever the Krebs thing runs its full course here, if that's when his contract runs out or whatever it is, this guy is, I think, a ready-made fourth-line center.
Kozak.
Yeah.
Very good. We'll take a break. Keep everybody posted on any additional news here. Byram, not yet traded, but there's been some speculation about that happening today over the course of the day. For now, we don't know of a move. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog back after the update. This is WGR.
Signings are beginning to come in for the Buffalo Sabres. The team has announced the signing of goaltender Alex Lyon, a 2-year deal worth $1.5 million per year. Bob McKenzie is reporting the Sabres are going to be signing 32-year-old forward Justin Danforth, a 2-year deal worth $1.8 million. And then the Sabres, they have also traded Sam Lafferty, the Chicago Blackhawks, for a 2026 6th-round pick. And the team has just announced they are re-signing forward Tyson Kozak to a 3-year deal worth under $1 million. Another deal we are keeping an eye on that was reported earlier today, Darren Drager, courtesy of that Bowen Byram trade talks have started back up. The LA Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues appear to be the front runners for that, but nothing since that original tweet. The Bisons are back in action tonight against Rochester. Salem Field will host that game at 6:35. You can listen to that game over on our sister station, The Bet 1520. And stunning upsets in the world of tennis. Wimbledon, round 1 today. Number 2 ranked Coco Gauff and number 3 ranked Jessica Pegula both lose today in round 1. Gauff coming off of winning the French Open just a few weeks ago. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
We continue on this July 1st. What we're doing is we're watching the wires. Yes. We're monitoring the wires. To see about any news.
Oh, the ticker. The ticker. The ticker's on a paper.
The ticker.
Kids, there was a machine in the sports office at the WBEN studios when I started there, and I think still was operational when I left. I mean, I left there in the winter of '99. I think it was still being... It would just spit out baseball scores and tennis scores and transactions.
The best.
And just running constantly. The reams of paper. Oh, my God.
Someone with the background who would know all about this is joining us now on the Westshore Hotline for Bulldog's birthday, and that is Tyler Dunn. Hi, Tyler.
Hey, what a festive occasion.
It is, isn't it?
Bulldog.
This guy. It's
a great day.
Look at you.
It's a great day.
Wow.
I asked a couple of your biggest fans to call in.
These are all such nice surprises.
What do you mean? We have Tyler on to talk about NHL free agency.
You're right.
Did I tell you that part?
I'm not the guy to ask for that. I don't know.
Well, it was nice of you to call in anyway.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I'm feeling emotional over here. Mike is going above and beyond here on my birthday.
I'm not the guy to talk about it either. Like Tyler and I, and maybe sometimes not even you, are going 15 rounds on the Justin Danforths of the world or anything like that. They tell me who he is, and I'll try to figure out something to say. But Tyler, if you don't mind, like the Sabres are in this kind of place here in this town where people are just sort of waiting for it to turn around, and we've all been waiting a long time. To me, and I don't really know exactly how closely you follow it, but it just doesn't seem maybe as bad as ever. I don't know. We're dying for something cool, for some sort of real progress.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I guess the advice would be just to fire up YouTube and look back at those old 1996 Derek playing at the blue line, firing it around Tugnut, Game 7. I don't know. Like we just have to kind of keep reliving those glory days. It's going to take. I'm no hockey expert, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to be one signing, right? Like even if something splashy were to happen, it's the ethos of the roster kind of needs to change. It needs to get bigger and tougher, and guys that you fear game in and game out. It's going to take a lot of work, and I don't know. I mean, I want the hockey team to be good in this town. That's for damn sure. I think a lot of people probably have forgotten what it was really like. I mean, it was electric to walk into those games. I mean, hell, I remember just being at school at Ellicottville, and you're just looking at the clock at third period, and you're like, hell, can we get to 3 o'clock so we can get the hell out of here and drive up to the arena for this playoff game? You centered your entire life around these games, and even in the regular season. I mean, I remember having the old satellite dish, and like you just prayed that maybe you got Don Cherry on Hockey Night in Canada or the Empire feed, and dad's out there adjusting the dish, and you're screaming back and forth, oh, right there, stop it right there. And, yes, you got the game, 36 of 82. I mean, it was when the Sabres are good, it's a different world around here, but it's going to take more than one signing today. So I guess I didn't really get my hopes up either way. I'm not tracking it nearly as closely as you guys. It'll be a rebuild, something people are used to.
Yes. Well, I did, I shouldn't put it in this kind of framework, but the free agency day, July 1st, the draft last week, we kind of have to focus on the Sabres for these few days. And, to varying degrees, maybe there'll be reasons to. Certainly the draft gives you that. But it takes away from the Bills thing. And I've been, whenever I think about the Bills season coming up, I just feel like this is really maybe their best opportunity to get that 1 seed, Tyler. Like the way the schedule fell, where they've got good opponents. I mean, huge games, but they're all home games. And the division just is, so-so, it seems. Now we had, Miami with that trade yesterday has people wondering if, they're even going forward intentionally at this point. So, Kansas City in a tougher AFC West, it's just kind of time for the Bills to take advantage of that. Last year they came so close, but I think you can be and maybe should be really optimistic here.
I'm right there with you. I know we probably were speaking in these terms one way or another the last few seasons, but it does seem like the division, the conference, just the way these teams are kind of retooling these last 4, 5, 6 months. I mean, the Bills are in a very, very healthy place. And, Miami's just, it is interesting with what they're doing. I love the trade for him. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick is somebody you want in your locker room. Jalen Ramsey is somebody you don't want in your locker room at this point. But they kind of lifted Tua up while he's on that rookie deal. They paid him, and now they're needing to kind of work around the fringes. It's on Tua to kind of lift everybody else up, and that's a difficult bet to make in cold weather games with his concussion history. I think the Patriots are coming. The Patriots are going to be good with Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf and how they've kind of rebuilt that thing. Talk about getting tougher. I mean, every pick, every signing, everything they've done all offseason long has Vrabel's fingerprints all over it. And Drake May, with a Diggs-like trade, I don't know what you get out of Diggs himself at this point, but if they can get a stud receiver like the Bills got in 2020, he could take a Josh Allen-like leap. I mean, he's freakishly talented, but it's not time yet. So, yeah, I guess that's a roundabout way of saying the division should be Buffalo's. They'll face the Chiefs in the playoffs, and then we'll see if all these guys they drafted on defense, all the guys they signed on defense, can deliver different results. It's crazy, but I think everybody, again, just wants to slam that simulate to January button for the Bills.
Right. I really like thinking about Miami here. And a culture cleanse seems like it was in order, and it seems like maybe that is exactly what they're doing. And now Waller today, a lot of tight end news. You must love this, right, Tyler? Like you're the tight end over there, you are. And there's a move there to try to replace. I mean, I don't know how well that'll go, but that's a pretty wild story Waller's had, like life-wise, career-wise even.
That's a hell of a tight end room. I mean, you've got Darren Waller and his past is well documented, his drug abuse. The fact that he's alive is a miracle. And he even went through it like that last year with the Giants and kind of opened up on that as well. But, I spent some time with Julian Hill this offseason. He's probably going to get more snaps and more targets, and he's somebody that grew up homeless in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Actually, that's where I had my first job. And he's just living house to house, floor to floor, sleeping with the cockroaches, witnessing some absolutely brutal domestic abuse. His mom just couldn't shake her drug habit, and he opened up on everything. We've got a series up at the site. What a shameless plug, I know. I'm very sorry. But he's somebody that probably is going to play a bigger role. So the Dolphins are always fascinating, but it's weird. If they've got Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Tua and Devon Achane, they've got weapons, I guess you have to take them serious. They did take the Bills down to the wire, and it required a 61-yard field goal from Tyler Bass. It's just until they win a game when it's 3 degrees, I guess nobody's going to take them serious, right? They're a fair weather team, it seems, until they can prove otherwise.
Literally, yeah. Darren Waller, last seen just missing the connection with Tyrod Taylor on that Sunday night game here with the Giants, which would have been for the win on the last play. First and goal from the 1. Where was Barkley? Didn't get the ball there. Didn't get the call there. He said it was Tyrod Taylor to Darren Waller, incomplete. Well, Tyler, great to talk to you. Thanks for being a part of our being at our party today, and we'll catch up again soon.
Hey, is it 60 wings or 60 shots for the Bulldog tonight?
Wow.
Dude, I have so little chance at competing in any way, shape, or form in any of that.
You were ready to party when we were hanging out at that Sabre game. You're like, hey, let's hit the town.
Yeah, that
I remember.
That you know what that was? That was a bet I was willing to make that you'd say no.
Let's go out after bet.
And I got cred for trying to be the ringleader. Like, Bulldog, man, he's still raring to go. Like, no, when you said no, I was like, thank God Almighty, Jesus.
We all do with life, right? Nobody actually wants to hang out.
No.
This happened to me last week after that draft I went to. It was late on a Thursday night, and suddenly like 5 guys were like, let's go somewhere else. And they picked out a place. So everybody piles out and heads for their cars. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this. And then somebody said, oh, it's closed. I'm like, bye. Got out of that one.
Right, yeah.
Thanks, Tyler.
Hey, thank you, guys. Happy birthday, brother.
Thanks, dude. Really appreciate it. Really nice. All right.
Tyler Dunn, golongtd.com.
60 wings.
Oh.
I had a single order of wings a couple Saturdays ago after golf. I brought 5 home for my wife.
What's the single going to be at this
10
establishment?
10 wings. I
had 5.
5.
So 6 is the number Tyler wanted.
And
not 60.
I was hungry when I started eating. Like I'm cooked.
The 6-wing challenge is what you should
right.
be.
What the heck is that?
Should be brought to you.
Weak.
We will talk to Paul Hamilton at 5. The Sabres have made a couple of signings today official. I'm not sure Justin Danforth has been made official yet. Bob McKenzie reporting that. No news on Byram. We will see what happens. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Again, Paul in about 20 minutes. This is WGR. July 1st, keeping tabs on everything going down in hockey. We've had the Sabres signing goalie Alex Lyon, reportedly signing 32-year-old 5'8 winger Justin Danforth, late of Columbus, and re-signing Tyson Kozak, who was tendered yesterday. They had his rights. Bulldog, good of you mentioning Darren Waller there. I forgot about that this morning. Shocking news on ADP chasing that Miami was signing Darren Waller out of retirement. With us now to celebrate your birthday, someone that you've admired for a long time, Adam Krautwurst, wanted to jump in on the festivities today. And you must be thinking a lot about Darren Waller and Bulldog today, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. I'm happy you guys reached out. I was hoping I would get the call to come on for Bulldog's birthday today, the big 6-0 I heard.
Well, no, I mean, absolutely. What I really wanted, Mike knows me so well, that what I really would have wanted on my 60th birthday in the middle of summer, July 1st, Free Agents Day, is, not poignant fantasy content. So, this is perfect.
It's more, again,
we're here for it.
Life content.
Yeah. Well, how you doing, man?
I love it. Doing well. How about yourself? I heard there was a big Darren Waller signing today. Relevant.
That's why we called you.
Good news.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I'm in for my last pick to be Darren Waller for sure. He's got to be as good as Jonnu Smith, right? No?
I mean, maybe that's interesting. I want to be careful on Waller because, he's not in the league. And he said he would play for Miami, which, what about Miami would be so appealing? Maybe the weather? Maybe to be in Miami?
The lifestyle, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I think I read that he wasn't, looking to go anywhere else. So the Giants probably happily took a draft pick for a retired player of theirs, and he's going to Miami. I want to be careful. There is that potential. I didn't think Jonnu Smith was that great a pick this year before. I mean, I think it was ran hot with touchdowns, and I think the Dolphins are a puzzle because I think that second half was really not how they want to play, but it worked out for Smith, and I was kind of betting against that happening again. You?
Yeah, I think the bigger news is obviously Jonnu Smith leaving town. People who've already taken him in fantasy are, that pick is kind of dead now. I don't know how careful we have to be with Waller though, because what are we spending on him? Our last pick in a best ball draft in the 22nd round or something. I did read recently that I think it was with the Giants, might have been his last team, and he was talking about how he was running a fullback lead play against the Bills, and it was working. And he's like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I leading a fullback, getting my face smacked in by Matt Milano every single play? I'm not going to play football anymore. So maybe they were like, hey, we don't want you to run a fullback lead dive here against the Bills. Just come and catch passes and be the third option. And maybe it'll definitely work. I mean, I don't know what type of shape he's in, but I think you could do worse than taking Darren Waller with your last pick, and now Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth are kind of fantasy is kind of toast for them, I think, this season
with Pittsburgh. You guys are both Red Sox fans, by the way. I don't know if you know that about each other.
I did not know that about you,
as close as you are.
No, I think. As much as I have been sort of making this point over and over and over again, and you would know this, Adam, because I know you listen religiously, that them winning 4 times like they did between 04 and 18, it took a lot of it out of it for me. I haven't been as into it, but I'm going back to Fenway in mid-August, and I've not been to Fenway Park in more than 25 years. So I'm anticipating that might sort of rekindle my my passion for them. Because the ballpark was what drew me to them in the first place when I was 10 years old. I thought the park was really cool. And then really, I got to like the players, but it was the park. So being in the park again might really work for me.
Yeah, it's a great park. It's been around a while. Not much has changed. But yeah, you walk in there and it's really, really cool. I think what would get me fired up again is if, a nice birthday present for yourself might be Henry selling the Red Sox might be nice because, or become a Liverpool fan, one or the other, because he seems to care more about his soccer team because they haven't really tried to win since 2018. So I think that would be really cool because yeah, I want to compete with the Yankees again as far as payroll is concerned, and I want to really care about those Yankees Red Sox matchups again.
Yeah, well, the Betts trade, and now Devers on top. Devers didn't hurt as much because I was already kind of dead inside about them to begin with. Betts was the final nail in my coffin for it, because that's homegrown, super cool story, great player, and no, we're worried about a Cliff. He's a little guy. He's going to get banged up, or I don't know, whatever the hell they were thinking, but disaster.
Yeah, total disaster. And that was early on, right? That was right after they'd won the World Series. So now, that was okay, well, maybe they got a big plan up their sleeve. But I think the plan was to just slowly sell off all their best players over the next 5 years. I mean, they even had who's the Philly slugger there for a second? I'm losing outfielder Schwarber. They even had Schwarber for a hot second there, and they let him go. Like they could have had a really good team, but yeah, it's not in the cards for them, I guess, until maybe he sells. Who knows?
Listen to Adam artfully bringing us back a little bit, maybe. I mean, NHL free agency. You've got an owner, multiple teams. Maybe you want him to sell one. Yeah. Just hypothetically. Adam, thank you for finding time for us today. Nice seeing you on the weekend, by the way. Scott Fishbowl.
Well, did you tell Bulldog what we got him for his birthday yet, or no?
I thought this was it.
No. Listen, Mike and I got you an all expenses paid trip to Ridgemont Country Club in Greece, New York, on a date of your choice to come up and watch me break 90 for the second time in my life. So you just get us a date, and we're gonna make it work.
That'll be great.
I look forward to that. This is real. This isn't like there's not a punchline coming.
This is Adam for you.
This is wonderful. Thank you. I will look forward to that.
Lock it in.
All right.
Lock it in.
Sweet. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Adam. See ya.
You got it. See you guys.
Adam Krautwurst, Deep End, FFWC. Find his analysis through those parts. Paul coming up.
I'm doing some counting over here.
Wings.
Sabres forwards under contract. It's more than you can dress for a lineup right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Bad sign.
Right now, Jacob Bryson is in my top 6, assuming a Byram trade. So I'm just saying, I don't know. Including the guy they just signed, and Doan, who they acquired last week, who's absolutely on the team, it's 13 guys. So I don't know about Byram out, forward in. I don't know where you're putting that. Unless one of these guys, maybe somebody is a part of a Byram trade, and that's for Kyrou or something from the Blues, and I got to sweeten it with, your name here. I don't know. Pick one of these 13 dudes. Quinn, Benson, I don't know. But that's a lot of dudes. And they're all, it's, NHL contract. I don't even count Kozak, who's on a 2-way deal for this year. He'd make 14.
We should bring that up with Paul Hamilton joining us after the update. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, WGR.
Underway, and the Sabres have started to get busy after having a bit of a slow start. The team did announce goaltender Alex Lyon is signing to a 2-year deal worth $1.5 million per year. The team has also announced they are trading forward Sam Lafferty, the Chicago Blackhawks, for a 2026 6th-round pick, and signing forward Tyson Kozak to a 3-year deal worth under $1 million. And reportedly, they are signing 32-year-old forward Justin Danforth to a 2-year deal worth $1.8 million. We'll get more on this as Paul Hamilton joins the show next, so do stay tuned for that. We've also got reports that we are keeping an eye on. Darren Drager earlier today reported that Byram trade talks have started back up. The LA Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues appear to be the front runners. LA, though, may have dropped out based off of some of their moves from today. They add defenseman Cody Ceci, 4-year, $4.5 million, and Brian Dumoulin, 3-year, $4 million. Along with that, they've also added goaltender Anton Forsberg, 2-year, $2.25 million per year. Forward Mikael Granlund signs with Anaheim. It's a 3-year deal worth $7 million per year. And Vladislav Gavrikov is signing with the Rangers, 7-year, $7 million per year. Stunning upsets in the world of tennis on the women's bracket at Wimbledon. Number 2 ranked Coco Gauff and number 3 ranked Jessica Pegula both lose today in round 1. Gauff is just coming off of winning the French Open. And the Buffalo Bisons, they are back in action tonight against Rochester at home at 6:35. And you can listen to that game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Paul Hamilton.
Oh, Ceronic and Hamilton going to each other, and Sawinski fights into it.
We have the fight.
With Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Tanachek was just totaled by an Iowa State player against the board.
I think it was by Hamilton.
On WGR.
Really a pretty unnecessary hit by Hamilton. Hamilton is still awfully mad. He's being held back.
Number 17, Paul Hill. 2 minutes for charging, 5 minutes for fighting, and a misconduct.
Sports Radio 550.
We continue the festivities here on Bulldog's birthday, which also happens to be free agency day in the NHL. Gotta say, as far as the Sabres go, when is it ever not quiet, really? Like the years where it's not quiet are the exception. And also, I think in terms of the whole league today, I get the perception that there wasn't that much left to do that was of significance.
Right. When Marner got dealt yesterday, Besser resigned early in the day, I think before the market even opened. Those were the top 2 forwards out there on the market in what was thought to be a thin class already, and they didn't even get to the marketplace. So, yeah, there hasn't been a ton of activity today.
Paul Hamilton with us now on the West-Her hotline, monitoring everything just the same. Where do you want to start, Paul? So I feel like it's not a story that the Sabres have just not made any big moves today. I think you'd agree.
Yeah. I mean, Ehlers is still out there, but as we've been saying for months now, I mean, the chances of that happening are fairly slim, but you never say never. And, you know, if nothing else, you got to be in on it and at least be talking. But judging by what I've been reading, it seems like he may not make a decision, according to Elliot Friedman, until at least tomorrow. So, you know, he's kind of still entertaining. So he's still out there. But other than that, if you want to get yourself a high-octane forward, you're probably going to have to trade for it. The goaltender, I think that's the best you probably could do. I mean, there really wasn't much in the free agent market. And as soon as I heard Alex Lyon, it just came rushing back to me. A couple of years ago when the Sabres were only 1 point out of the playoffs, and in the second last week of the season, Buffalo goes into Sunrise, and Lyon, who really got the Panthers back into it, they looked out of it. And he got in net and got the Panthers back into it, made 39 saves on 40 shots. And Devin Levi, not to be outdone, I think made 36 saves in that game. Both goaltenders were lights out. Florida won that game 2-1. Had Buffalo won that game 2-1, they would have made the playoffs, and the Panthers would not have. So they would not have made the Stanley Cup Finals that year, and we wouldn't be talking about this drought anymore. But that was the first thing that came rushing back to my mind, how Alex Lyon won them that game just with some fantastic goaltending, and really, it was just a continuation of the good goaltending he had given them. Never really. He played 15 games that year, and that was a career high for him.
Right. He sort of caught fire late and ran with it. I'm pretty sure he started the playoffs for them, and then they pivoted back to Bobrovsky, and then they went to the finals, and Bobrovsky's never looked back from that. Right. But Lyon they probably don't make the playoffs without his hot streak there late in that season.
And then he went to Detroit. Now his career high is 44 games, which he played his first year there. Last year in a backup role, played 30. And, these days, it used to be a good save percentage. It was between .915 and .920. His is .904. I'm not upset about that. I think that's a pretty good save percentage. And it's a guy at 32 years old. If Luukkonen comes in, and you can't wait forever. I mean, if Luukkonen comes in the first couple of weeks is not the Luukkonen of 2 years ago, I think you got to make the change right away. You can't go 13 games and let it get out of hand, early. So I think Lyon is a guy that you could turn to where James Reimer would not have been. You can turn to James Reimer like they did for, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month, like they did at the end of the season. But he can't take over for you at age 38, I think. And he hasn't, made an announcement yet if he's retiring anyway. So honestly, I think it's a good signing, and I think really it's the best they could do considering what was out there.
Yeah,
Jake Allen didn't get out there. He wanted to be signing.
He didn't get out
Jersey.
there, and even that, like the contract he signed in New Jersey, I would not have been crazy about paying that for him. Right? Because what I'm looking for is support in case UPL doesn't get back on track, and if Levi's not ready. And Allen is signing for like 1A or 1B money, basically. And I don't think that is not enough of a sure thing of an upgrade to me that I would have wanted to take that plunge. So
I agree with you 100%.
So,
and happy birthday, by the way, if I didn't say it.
Thank you, teammate. I appreciate you. What about what else has happened today? I was just counting up as we went to break, Paul. I'm looking at NHL players on the roster right now, right? Thinking about, if you're going to get a big-time forward, it's got to be the Byram trade. That's been my focus since they moved Peterka last Wednesday night. They've got 13 guys with this Danforth now under contract for 1.8 for 2 years. Like, he's on your team, I think. And I've got 13 guys. And I'm not reaching on any of that. Like Krebs, Malenstein, Benson, Danforth, Doan, Greenway, Zucker, McLeod, Quinn, Kulik, Tuck, Thompson, Norris.
Yeah, and Kozak starts in Rochester.
Right. So
don't forget, you've got 3 extras. You start with 23.
Yeah.
On the roster, and one thing I think is happening here, and I think ever since Clifton, every move almost that I've seen has Lindy Ruff written all over it. And I've been saying this for how long, that Lindy Ruff is really going to have a huge say in roster construction. And I think one of the reasons that maybe Bernard Docker wasn't qualified is because of Johnson. I think, it would be up to Lindy Ruff, and maybe he saw, because Johnson, we talked to Mike Leone, his coach, yesterday, and he said he and Rathbone down in Rochester really turned into a shutdown pair that he could count on in key situations out there. And Lindy Ruff might want Johnson there ahead of Bryson. And Johnson just got re-signed. And, I just kind of have it in my head that I think Johnson and he should be. I think he should be ahead of Bryson on the totem pole. And he might have just thought, I'd rather have Johnson in that spot than Bernard Docker. Just everything that I've seen, with Timmins, and it just all has Lindy Ruff written all over it. And I think, let me put it this way, if Lindy Ruff wanted Bernard Docker, I think he'd be here.
Sabres just announced a 4-year deal for Ryan McLeod. 20 goal season just last year for the Sabres, $5 million per year. You have a immediate reaction?
Yeah. No, the only thing with McLeod that I told you, and can he do it again? That he had career highs, and it's only 1 year, and the Sabres have already been burned by these contracts where they rewarded 1 good year. If you really put me against the wall, I think he can do it again. I don't think it's unreasonable to think that Ryan McLeod can't score 20 goals each year with this kind of speed he has, and I think he's gotten some confidence in himself. So, no, I don't mind that at all for him, other than the fact that you might have a little pause of rewarding him for 1 year. But they have the money. It's at $95 million on the salary cap. So, no, I wouldn't blink at that. I think that's just fine.
Yeah, I don't know that I guess I was bracing for it to be more term. And so I feel good about the amount of time, and the money is about right. Like, even if he is a 15-goal scorer, I think playing the role that he played, killing penalties, his defensive abilities, I'm good there. We'll see. I mean, it's early. We're reacting. But I don't feel like that's an overpay. I feel like that's kind of right on it.
Do you guys feel that it's something that he can continue to do, be a 20-goal scorer?
That's why I'm already saying, even if he drops back, I'm going to be okay here. I was worried that he had like the best year of his life at the worst possible time for the team trying to keep him, and I don't think this contract. I mean, it's a hardy race for him, but I don't feel like, even if he doesn't live up to what he did last year, that I'm going to be in trouble with it.
And you got the money.
That's for sure.
Salary cap, you've got the money to do it.
That's for sure. Paul Hamilton with us on the West Her Hotline. What much do you have to say about Justin Danforth, reportedly joining today, age 32, winger from Columbus?
He's just a pain in the neck. He's fast, gets in on the forecheck. He'll make you angry. He'll always be around you and in your face type of a player. Now, whether... I think it's between him and Doan as far as who might be in the lineup. Again, you're going to have either 2 extra forwards and an extra D, or 2 extra D and an extra forward when you come out with your lineup, in October. So I think it's more depth. And still, we don't know what's going to happen as far as the forwards go. Well, what happens in a Byram trade if that happens? What's Ehlers doing? Again, I'm not. I want to keep saying this because I'm not saying that the Sabres are the number one destination for Ehlers, but stranger things have happened, and he's still out there. So I'll guarantee you a call was made, and they've been talking about it, and they would love to have him, and they would overpay him again. They've got the money. So if you got to overpay him, you overpay him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So it's somebody they could use, but a trade for Byram. Now, unfortunately, Kairu's no trade just kicked in on July 1st. So that makes, if you're dealing with the St. Louis Blues, that makes that a little more difficult if that's the guy you were targeting, and I would hope that's the guy you're targeting if you're trading Byram there. But now you've got to get his permission to be traded to the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, what I was getting at, I don't know if I filled out the point. I might have gotten sidetracked myself. I don't know. But and if I'm being repetitive, I apologize. But 13 forwards now, if you're going to get a big fish, then I think someone has to go as a sweetener with Byram, is what I'd be thinking.
Yeah, and that might be one of your higher picks from Rochester, a future high pick. Something that I don't want to say is important, but it's important that you have it as a bargaining chip because you have so many prospects that are considered good prospects. And just like Savoy, well, you had 3 first-round picks that year. And, you had a bargaining chip where you could get a guy like McLeod that you needed. So, absolutely, that to me, it's currency, and it's currency that you could use to make a sweetener in that type of a trade.
And someone among the forward ranks that's on the roster now.
That's what I'm thinking, Paul. That's why, I appreciate the Rochester point, and a team might like that better than an NHL player, but I've got a logjam right now. Like, if I were to bring in, let's just say Kyrou wants to waive his no trade to come to Buffalo, and that's the player the Sabres are after, and it's Byram. I don't think Byram on his own as an RFA about to sign a huge contract is necessarily enough to get Kyrou. So maybe someone from Quinn, who just re-signed, Benson even. I don't know. I'm not eager to move Benson. I'd much rather move Quinn personally, but someone like that would, I think, have to be included if you're getting a whale to play up top.
And I'm totally good with that. I mean, that's what you have to do. To get something, you have to give up something. And I've always said that about the McLeod trade. I mean, the Sabres, I think, are happy with McLeod. If Savoy turns out to be a good player with the Oilers and they're happy, what's wrong with that if both teams like what they got in trade?
You've liked Kozak, so maybe he starts on the outside, but you like him as a full-time NHL player eventually?
Yeah, if Krebs, who knows where Krebs, winds up, whether it's with the Sabres, without the Sabres, where in the lineup, what kind of injuries. But I think from a depth standpoint, if one of those bottom guys gets hurt, he gets called up immediately, and I don't think you miss a beat. I think in the not too distant future, this is a guy that I heard Bulldog say earlier, and I agree that is going to be a guy that you can count on a line that can play defense against the other team's best guys, can kill penalties, can change the complexion of a game, will do anything to win a hockey game. He'll put his face in front of a shot. He doesn't care. I love watching him in Rochester because he gets out in those situations, and the last 30 seconds he has 3 block shots, and it's crazy to watch him play. So I think he is going to be, and he's shown us that he has no problem playing in the National Hockey League.
I should probably mention Krebs as maybe that piece in that trade, too. That would open up the spot for Kozak if you wanted to do it. Krebs has got one more year left, still an RFA after that, but still under contract for this season.
Yeah, sure. No, absolutely. To me, anything's on the table except maybe Darlene. It's or Thompson or Tuck. You know what I mean here. But pretty much anything is on the table, especially if you can get yourself a guy like Kyrou.
What do you think about Tuck as somebody to extend here in the coming hours or days? I mean, that's something that can happen now. Adams, unlike with Peterka last week, talked about Tuck as a player who wants to be here that way. So would you expect something, at least you're open to the possibility of a new deal coming for him?
Oh, sure. I'm expecting they're well into negotiations, and wherever it happens to be, whatever Tuck's wishes are, I don't think the Sabres have a lot of leverage on there. Kesselring, who is also in the same spot, who I would be negotiating with too, I wouldn't say he's holding the hammer, but Alex Tuck certainly is holding the hammer, and pretty much could, if he feels like it, could say, this is it. If you want to take it and sign me to this is what it's going to cost you. If not, I'll go to free agency. Now I don't know if Alex Tuck would do that. I don't know where that stands. But, to me, if they lose Alex Tuck, this thing falls apart to me. I mean, I think you're back to square one again, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. So it's somebody that I think they need to get signed, and they have to figure something out with him.
Square one. What square are we on if we're not on square one, Paul? I feel like we are interminably on square one. Like do not advance past square one. We're just stuck.
I'm not going to argue with you.
They've built walls around square one. I cannot get out. I need Spider-Man to come rescue me.
Yep, no.
Not using Monopoly this time?
I can't. I have no response.
I have one more for you, Paul. Over the years, on July 1st, I hear your voice, talking about the many stupid signings that we appear to see, year to year. Is it different now with the higher cap and sort of more certainty in that way? Like, has the league maybe in this way succeeded to the extent that, like, now – you might sound more like, sure, why not? Like, it might be different than when we were feeling a little bit more strapped in the past.
I'm more sure why not because of where the Sabres are right now. They need to do it. Would I be, clamoring to send, at age 30 to sign Alex Tuck to an 8 or 7 year contract? No. But more teams are doing it, as you said, and I think that's where the Sabres are right now, where, if you have to do that, you have to do that. If you got to give Ehlers a contract like that at age 29, then you got to do it. If they were just, we're kind of selling off our players and we're starting over and we're going to tank and this, that, whatever. No, that's not the time to do it. That's not the time to be signing free agents to stupid money, and free agency is not the way to build your team, but it certainly is a way to supplement your team, and I think the Sabres are at a point now, especially with a salary cap, where they can do it Do you want to do it? No, but should they do it? I would say probably yes.
All right. Thanks for this, Paul, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
That's our Paul Hamilton on the West Shore Hotline. His appearances are brought to you by Equitable Advisors. Planning for your future is about more than just money. Let Equitable be your guide. And by Relax Honda. Relax, we got this.
So I know what I'm doing here by asking this, but if the Sabres were to trade Byram for one of those forwards you like that you think rates, and, Quinn goes, even a draft pick or a prospect goes, are we good?
I would have a hard time not being good. I like. It shook me a little to hear Paul saying Doan, might be on the outside looking in because of Danforth. I don't know. I like the idea of Doan a lot. I honestly don't know a lot about this Danforth guy. It happened during the show, and I have not done a bunch of background on him yet. But I liked the moves that happened prior to today, provided they end up with something in the stocking here at the end that replaces Peterka credibly. That isn't speculative on Quinn or Benson or your name here taking a step or whatever. So I would have to say, yeah. I mean, depending on what that is, but yeah, I think so. I think I would feel like they did the thing.
Because they were not going to. I mean, Ehlers is still, as Paul says, it's a possibility, I guess. But I'm giving no, attention to that possibility myself. And so, given the confines, real or artificial, the confines here, that move, okay, but I need it.
Yeah.
Because I think they've wanted to trade this player, and right now it feels more like a situation where they can't. Enough people have been talking about Byram for a long time to make me think that nobody has slammed the door on these insiders when it comes to him. Like, Adams hasn't come out and said anything like, he's untouchable. Like he might about Dahlin or someone else. I don't know if he has. So it has read like that's something they want to do. And for me, that's then a matter of getting it done, right? We've had this discourse with Adams and the Sabres, like how Adams has said at other times how he wants to get stuff done. And I have said to that, I don't think that goes over as well as he wants it to. It doesn't sound like I think he wants it to. Because then we're talking about just failing to execute, not desire, which is its own problem. So I'd love to see that trade. Who knows how well they will do, but you got to think there's somebody respectable that they could get for this player. I want to think so. But who knows? I don't think he's great, and maybe the league has somewhat the same opinion. 803-0550. It's July 1. It's Bulldog's birthday. We're having fun with that. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back after sports. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.
sports. It's Mike Schopp. He's Bulldog. Talking sports. Call him on the telephone. Toss that bad Bulldog. Talking sports. Yeah, yeah, yeah. On WGR.
All right.
Just about 25 minutes ago, the Buffalo Sabres did announce they have signed forward Ryan McLeod to a 4-year deal worth $5 million per year. McLeod was traded from Edmonton to the Sabres last year and had a career high in a number of statistics, including goals, where he scored at 20 last year. The Sabres have also announced the signing of goaltender Alex Lyon, a 2-year deal worth $1.5 million per year. And Bob McKenzie is reporting the Sabres are signing 32-year-old forward Justin Danforth to a 2-year deal with $1.8 million per year. That deal, though, has not yet been announced by the team. Darren Drager also reporting on the team, although this was from a little while ago. He was reporting that the trade talks involving Bo Byram have started back up, with the LA Kings, Vegas Golden Knights, Calgary Flames, and St. Louis Blues being the frontrunners. Nothing since that original tweet a number of hours ago. LA as well may be out based off their recent moves, as they added defenseman Cody Ceci, 4-year, $4.5 million deal. Brian Dumoulin, 3-year, $4 million deal. And then they also added goaltender Anton Forsberg, a 2-year, $2.25 million contract. Had some stunning upsets today at Wimbledon over on the women's bracket. Number 2 ranked Coco Gauff and number 3 ranked Jessica Pegula both lose in round 1. Gauff coming off of winning the French Open. And then the Buffalo Bisons, they are in action tonight against Rochester at home, 6:35 first pitch. And you can listen to that game over on our sister station, the Bet 1520. It's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Welcome back. July 1, free agency in hockey, the focus, and Bulldog's birthday. Milestone, big one. How's it going so far? You're working. I mean, that's...
Yeah, fine. You know, fine.
Good.
In every sense, good.
Fine.
I did not. I was not really. Nice surprises today from you with Razor and Trista and Tyler and Adam, and I was not expecting. It'd be one thing if I was expecting like there to be fanfare and hubbub, but the way my wife's schedule is, like we have a plan to do things at the back end of the week. We have the day off Friday for the 4th, and it's fine. It's not uncommon for my birthday to sort of bleed into the 4th of July anyway. So, pretty low key. I played some golf today. I played well. Very happy with how I played, and got a good nap, which is something you do when you're 60.
Yes.
And
that sounds like a great way to celebrate.
and then I'm here hanging out, doing what we do, and go home and eat some bacon and go to bed.
Very thorough, comprehensive report.
That's pretty much it.
Asked and answered. How was your
birthday?
birthday going? Asked and answered.
I'm at a point where, and this is not a cry for help, I promise, but if like friends of mine showed up at my house, like insisting that we go do something, I'd be like, okay. I guess. I mean, this is a lovely gesture. To slam the door would be a jerky thing to do, but deep down inside, I'd be like, I'm good. I'm going to go play the guitar in the attic for a little while and look out my beautiful new windows and
some bacon.
Just going to eat some bacon.
Yeah.
Well, I'm all set.
The message has been put forth.
There's some cold beer in the fridge if I want it. I don't usually imbibe on weeknights, but nonetheless.
Don't go to Bulldog's house and try to take him anywhere.
Don't
Everybody.
do it. Don't do it.
Change of plans.
I don't want you to. And this is not one of these things where somebody says a thing, but they really want you to do it. Like I'm just telling you right now.
I had one more trick up my sleeve, and that was it. And we were going to pivot.
It's a different thing. Last week, Jeremy's birthday was on Wednesday.
Oh.
And I knew he had the 100 holes of golf coming on Thursday, and so I didn't really reach out to him, but a mutual friend of ours got him to go out, and he texted me and said, birthday beers with Brett. And I was on the couch, and I literally was like, I'm like, wow, I'm an all-time jerk if I don't get up and go have a couple of beers with my friend.
And you're glad you did.
And I'm glad I did. But it took me, it being my birthday, I don't really want that. I don't need that. I don't need the birthday.
It should be up to you.
Yeah.
Here's Adam with us. Hi, Adam.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Happy birthday, Bulldog.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just curious about why not a Jason Robertson trade from Dallas? Send over a first-round pick or Bowen Byram. I don't know, Benson, something like that, some kind of splash move like that. Like I heard you guys talking yesterday or the other day about Rossi was a good option too. I don't understand why we're not in more talks for someone like Robertson or Rossi. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
I didn't ever think there was a fit for Rossi at center on this team, and I'm not a huge fan of the player. He couldn't be trusted in the top line role in the playoffs. They put him on the fourth line because he was getting him. He was hurting him. And he is, I think, maybe a little unrealistic about where he should be playing. So I'm sort of buyer beware on Rossi myself. That's just me. He was never of interest to me. Robertson was, but when they started, they divested themselves, salary dump with who was the player? I always get them.
Granlund?
No, he just signed as a free agent. They traded someone away, Marchment, maybe, last week, but like one of the first moves of the week last week. And I thought, or maybe it was even before that, they cleared $4.5 million in salary to, I think, keep Robertson. Is what I read that as. I don't think everyone necessarily connected that, but as soon as that happened to me, that was a sign that Robertson is probably not in play. I don't have to be right about that, but that was my read, that they dumped, because whatever they got for this player I'm thinking of, it wasn't like we got to make sure we get equal value. It was mostly like, here, just take this guy. It's $4.5 million, and we need to clear space because we want to keep our good young scorer. So that's what I'm just expecting him not to be in play.
What I liked about that idea, I allowed myself to think that could have been realistic, Robertson.
Yeah.
Because of Dallas's, or at least the coach's implosion there after they lost in the playoffs.
You want to prey on a team like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there are different ways to do that. One that you've seen is to take on a player who is retired for a draft pick. Be willing to just account for that money. You know, there are ways. So Ottinger too crosses your mind when that happens. But Dallas did, well, to this point anyway, neither thing. They fired the coach is what they did.
Right.
They replaced him today or recently. Gulletson. Was that today?
Yeah, that was today. It was announced today. I think it was rumored for a bit.
Keeping the theory intact, the mantra that we can only hire coaches who've done it.
You're going to know the name of everyone who
There
gets
are only
hired, usually.
40 people who could possibly, conceivably coach your NHL team.
Marchman was the player I wanted there from Dallas that went to Seattle in what I think was perceived as a salary dump. So, anyway.
How many NHL coaches actually really only do coach one time? Don't get the second chance. I wonder what percent that is. Granato, to this point, is that.
Right.
Kruger wasn't.
Right. Kruger had an Edmonton job for a minute.
So many we have made this point about the GMs with the Sabres that they'd never been GMs and most of them weren't again. But that's not true of coaches. I mean, Ruff was, when he started here, that was his first job. But he's had 2 or 3 others, plus this one, the return. A lot of Sabre coaches had already been coaches before. You got to go a long time ago, but Nolan wasn't. Then he got the Islanders and then he came back.
Here. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we were talking about on ADP chasing this morning, Mike McDaniel. Like it's maybe a pivotal year for him with the Dolphins, and like what's his next job?
Coordinator.
Even college was mentioned as a possibility.
Maybe.
But he would not necessarily get a head coaching job out of this if Miami goes down.
I would be, I'm going to say, shocked if he got a head coaching job right out of this thing unraveling under his watch.
Right.
But I think he'll be a good offensive coordinator hire somewhere.
Let's get David in. Hi, David.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks.
Hey, so I just wanted to ask a little bit about why a lot of people are sort of hesitant on a Brian Rust trade. And I understand the 9th overall for him straight up might have been a little bit too much, but I mean, he just scored 1 goal and 65 points last year.
Yeah.
And I know it's with Crosby, but if you get him a center, if you move Tate to center and, sort of have him on Tage's wing, I feel like that could be that's your Jason Zucker signing or Jason Zucker trade or whatever you want to call it. I think that's your replacement.
I think people don't like the idea because they're scared that he's just a caddy for Crosby, which, that has legs. I mean, it can be a thing. He's playing with one of the best players in the world. So you might want to, ding the stats by some percentage if he goes to a new team. I don't think Thompson's moving back to center anytime soon with Lindy Ruff as the head coach of this team. He didn't trust him at center, and I think he was right to. And so their centers are Norris, Kulik, McLeod, and Krebs right now. And so you're going to try to make that work. All that said, I'm not against the Rust idea. He's also old, 34, I think. So you could. There's things to worry about there. But if it comes to, I can't do anything else with Bowen Byram but trade him for Brian Rust, I am going to swallow hard and make that trade myself. Mm-hmm. You want to be shooting higher. We've been talking about some different names and different guys. I mentioned Hurdle earlier, might be dreamy, like unrealistically dreamy. Vegas, Kyrou with St. Louis, but now his no trade kicked in July 1st, so I don't know if that's realistic. You might end up at Rust.
You might.
And I would still do it.
But at your advanced age, you're keeping the rust off in your own personal life, playing golf, eating the bacon, the whole thing.
Eating the bacon.
Thank you, David.
So good for you.
We'll be right back. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR. hoping to make it interesting for you. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Next, among our cavalcade of stars and guests today.
I didn't even see. I got my iPad blocking the phone thing. I didn't know someone was on hold.
One of Bulldog's many admirers. In fact, I might even think that you're a hero of this person's.
Oh, my.
Andrew Filipponi, hello.
Wow, come on. He's on vacation.
He quit today so he could do this. Thanks for that, by the way. What a compliment.
Yeah, sorry, Bulldog. I know you were probably expecting like Cornelius Bennett or Jeff Tweedy, but you got to settle for me.
Oh, this is great. You are on vacation, right? Aren't you at the beach?
No, I'm back.
Oh, all right. Sorry. Well, congratulations on a nice-looking vacation. I saw one picture.
I mean, are you kidding me? I couldn't miss Connor Dewar and Philip Tomasino coming back to the Penguins for 2026. I didn't want to skip that.
How much hockey would you do on a day like this? Did you do?
5 minutes. They traded Alex Nedeljkovic about a half hour ago, who was their backup goalie, but quasi-starting goalie the last 2 years, and that was really it, Mike.
Yeah. Skeens tonight.
Skeens tonight.
All right, I know what I'm watching. All right.
He's never beaten them. He's 0-5. His ERA's like 2-1 against them, and he's never beaten them. But the Pirates, you saw the stat, Mike. Have you seen their offense lately? It's incredible. The lumber company's back.
4 straight wins, all by 7 runs or more, and they're the first team to do that in forever, I think.
In 100 years, I think.
100 years. Gotta love baseball.
Right.
The only thing left to happen is for the Rockies to top it this year.
Well, your appearance is very well timed because we were just talking at the end of the last segment about Brian Rust as an idea for the Sabres in perhaps a Bowen Byram trade, and I'm curious, like you're on the scene there. What's your read on 33-year-old Brian Rust?
I don't think they'll trade him because I think they need to keep Sid happy, and I don't say that in a way where like if they don't, he'll demand a trade. Like I don't buy any of the stuff that you see Spit and Chicklets put out there when they're bored on TSN or Sportsnet and they just start coming up with hypothetical trades, or Elliot Friedman says everybody in the hockey world feels sorry for Sidney Crosby and wants to see him play for a contender again. I do think he's content here. I think he loves it here. He still lives here. So I don't see them trading Sidney Crosby or him getting antsy to leave. But I do think the expectation, if the team isn't very good overall, that they at least give him line mates who he can score with. I mean, look, he's got the streak now of most consecutive seasons averaging a point per game. He's going to break Lemieux's scoring records here. So I do think he wants to skate with guys that can help him do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that he's so individually driven or so statistically driven that that's like what his motivating factor is. He still wants to win, obviously. But I think they know that tacitly, and for that reason, like, those are the two guys on their top line, Rust and Raquel, who have been floated out there in trade rumors, who I don't think they can trade because they want to give Sidney Crosby line mates who he can actually score 85 points or 90 points with this year.
What about Malkin? It's always Crosby. Malkin turns 39 this month.
He's done, Mike.
Done.
I think he's gonna have a swan song here this year. I see really no way in which he's back after this season unless he somehow turns back the clock and the knee injuries of the last couple of years somehow he's healed up from and starts skating better and moving better and looks like the guy he was 3 or 4 years ago. I just think Father Time has caught him. Now, they don't do many favors because of what I just said. I mean, the repercussions of only having 2 good wingers is that there's nobody left for Malkin to play with at even strength. And that hurt him last year, but he also was a reduced player. So He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think they're not saying it, but I think they're going to treat it like this is his final go-round. I think it'll be a farewell tour, much like we saw with Marc-Andre Fleury last year in Minnesota. And he'll either quit hockey altogether or go back to Russia and play for a couple of seasons.
Father Time catching up to Malkin, but not Bulldog at 60.
No, sirree.
I mean,
no.
What a life. What a story, this guy. And you must have many fond memories from being around him.
Chris, do you think you'll do this till you're 70?
I don't have a better idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like if they're if they don't take me out back Probably. I don't know. I think
you're just getting revved up. Like, I don't see a decrepit man. I see a man that might be 60 but feels like he's 35. Is that fair?
In certain ways, yes. Sure. I feel physically really quite good. I played my local golf course that I play 60 times a year today and shot even par on the back nine. It's not the most challenging track in the world, Andrew, but still. I'm pretty happy about that.
Breaking 80 all the time.
See, I think when I was with you guys, you were like starting to get into long distance running.
Yes.
But I feel like you have phases like this. Like, I think when I'm on for the 70th show, you're going to say you haven't golfed in 5 years and that you're now a pickleball addict or something like that.
There will still be shooting your age. There will still be that. That's still out there.
That is possible. Yes, the running wasn't a phase, Andrew. I got injuries. A man built like me is not really built to run. I'm envious of these like 6'2", 160-pound people I see running in the park that they're about an inch wide. I'm not built that way. So running was always a time bomb, and the bomb went off. So I had to stop.
The bike was a phase.
The
motorcycle was a phase.
Oh, the motorcycle was a phase. Yes, were you here for that, Andrew? I think you were here for that. That was definitely a phase. Yes.
You used to wear Harley Davidson stuff. Does that count?
Well, no, I had a motorcycle.
He had a show.
That was I had a motorcycle show, Andrew.
Never heard of one of those?
I was immersed in the culture, Andrew. I was a motorcycle culture merchant. Oh my gosh. Anyway,
kickstands up. From like those Always or Forever Buffalo like accounts that tweet out like old Howard Simon clips should find like a video or like an audio recording of you hosting the motorcycle show.
Kickstands up. Yep.
It's all gone.
Yeah. I'd love to see it.
It's all gone.
Andrew, what else do you have coming up this summer?
We are going to Sesame Place, which is outside of Philadelphia, for my daughter's second birthday. Nice. Have you guys done that?
No. I know of it, but no, I never have been there.
No.
Yeah.
No,
I got that on the docket.
Yeah, we never did that sort of stuff with the kids when they were little. We'd go to Ocean City, Maryland, and go to the Assateague Island and look at the wild horses and stuff. Like, that was cool. We never did the big theme park stuff or anything. It just was not my wife's style, and so we didn't do it.
I feel like you're maybe 2 years away from Hershey Park.
I think she'd want to go now. I mean, she's a pretty rebellious kid as far as children that haven't yet turned 2. There's a picture of her with like a boa constrictor on her that I'll send you guys.
Oh my gosh!
From our trip to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, well, she can handle Hershey Park. You're right.
She went to medieval times, and she was watching guys joust with each other, and she would have thought she was watching, Paw Patrol or something like that. She was so riveted by it and enthralled by it. It was incredible.
Very good. Thanks for being a part of this today.
It's been a whole thing. This has been this is your life Bulldog show. People are coming back from the past to say hello.
A few.
Mike lined up some special surprise guests, and he told me about Rob Ray being.
How about Bauk? Have we had a Bauk sighting?
Haven't been able to reach him.
Well, he never had a cell phone. Did he ever get one?
I think so.
I do text with him. I'm pretty sure that's not on a landline. I don't think it works that way.
I guess he did. Yeah, eventually he did. He came around. Yeah, it's been fun.
Okay.
Well, thanks a lot for making time, Andrew, man. Love you. See you.
Anytime. Right back at you. See you.
All right. Andrew gets off a little bit early when the Pirates are home.
Oh, okay.
It's 6:40. They play 6:40, so I think that's why he was free right then.
That worked out very nicely.
July 1st, free agency. Paul's been on top of it, joined us earlier. Alex Lyon, goaltender. Paul went into that game. He played for Florida to help keep the Sabres out of the playoffs a couple of years ago. Sabres bring him in. Also a winger who'd been with Columbus, Justin Danforth, who's had a short-ish career but is 32. And the big one is McLeod, even though he was already here, but for money, 4 years, $5 million per for Ryan McLeod, who had 20 for them, 20 goals last season. Back after the update, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. This is WGR.
have had a very active day. Namely, they have re-signed forward Ryan McLeod, a 4-year deal worth $5 million per year. And the team has also announced they are signing goaltender Alex Lyon, a 2-year deal worth $1.5 million per year. For more on everything the Sabres have done today, we do have multiple pieces up at our website, WGR550.com. The Rangers and Hurricanes completing a sign-and trade for defenseman Keandre Miller. Miller is then going to sign an 8-year, $7.5 million per year extension with Carolina. The Buffalo Bisons are also back in action tonight against Rochester. That game's going to be at Salem Field at 6:35, and you can listen to that game over at our sister station, The Bet 1520. And then at Wimbledon, both Coco Gauff and Jessica Pegula upset in round 1. Coco Gauff coming off that win at the French Open. It's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
It's Mike Schopp and the
Bulldog, talking sports.
It's Mike Schopp.
He's Bulldog, talking sports. Call him on the telephone. Toss that bad Bulldog a bone. Bulldog, talking sports. Yeah.
On WGR.
All right, heaving ho and away God, we go. you gotta
Sports
stop
Radio
it.
550.
Toss that bad Bulldog a bone.
God,
My name being in it is not a part of the song.
I cannot.
We couldn't have today's Bulldog birthday celebration. We couldn't call it complete without Nick Bakay, writer, producer, man of all trades. First of our guests today who was on Seinfeld, just one of his many credits. Nick, that's not the first time you've heard that song, I think.
Oh no, it actually is, and I'm a little traumatized. I was thinking, is that Schopp singing? Is that what we expect from you at karaoke, Mike?
I don't think I could carry that tune.
You're breaking my heart. You didn't pay attention to this. You came and sat with me in studio at WBN back in like '98 for 2 hours. You took calls from people who were teenage, like they were little girls when they watched you be the talking cat, and they were calling you, and it was kind of creepy and weird because they're like grown up now, and it was just there's an odd. Anyway, that song would have played like every. You don't remember? I'm brokenhearted.
Oh no, that's way too long ago for me to remember. But I remember doing that day at the station, and I remember. I was thinking about it on this year 60th. Is that allowed? Are we allowed to say it?
Sure, loud and proud.
You're still younger than me. Don't worry. It's all uphill from here. But I remember, and I was thinking about it, and I remember we talked to a particularly depressed Flyers beat writer, as I remember. We interviewed somebody, and he was very low-key to the point where after we hung up, we thought, should we be worried about him? So,
wow, yeah, that's a pull. I don't remember that at all. Of course, I was busy being excited about you being there. So anyway.
Oh, that's so cool. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, man. This guy over here, like, what a job.
Not about me.
Mike has done a great job today. This is really nice.
It's been a big day.
Well, he's just lined up people that have been surprises all through the day here on a day that is... usually
you're
pretty dark here, Nick. I mean, it's free agency day in the NHL, and we usually are on the air for 4 hours going, do something, anything, please. Even guys I hate, sign somebody.
Right.
Well, that's the other big part of this this little interview here is that I am here to tell you that I am the big splash free agent signing. The Sabres made a little noise and brought me in.
It's come to this. It has come to this. Well,
slow and forgetful and not particularly tough. I'll be a perfect Sabre.
The challenge is, I mean, there is some truth to not going solo here, the two of us, for 4 hours on a day where it's really just sort of mostly about frustration, I think, that a lot of people feel. So we definitely wanted to, spread that out a little bit. But He doesn't.
Yeah.
Anything can work, right, Nick? I mean, sports can give you hope. And there's one move. Bulldog and I are sort of in concert here. If they're able to trade this defenseman Byram for a good forward, then I think it passes the test for July 1st, at least for them.
Yep, it'll be very interesting to see. Obviously, it seems like something's percolating there, but what do we know, right? Well, you guys might. I don't. But, on the other hand, if we trade him, then who's going to pair up with Darlene, So it's all sort of give and take. We'll see.
Yeah, I got asked that on Twitter a little while ago, and I said, Samuelson, ? And I left the room and came back a few minutes later. I'm like, 30 mentions. What? I tweeted that. I forgot. Oh, God.
Oh, my gosh. I know. It's, I mean, I still watch every game, and, I read enough comments and, post-article comment zones and things to know where the mindset of Sabre Nation is, and it's such a tough time right now. But, we'll see. We'll see. At least they got a little grittier, right? We can say that.
Yeah, I do like the in a vacuum, I like the Peterka trade. The pieces they got back. I don't like that they traded Peterka because I really liked him a lot on this team. But the pieces they got back fit, and they are roles that they didn't really have. They've been trying to find a partner for 3 years. So, good. Yep. But I needed this one more move to really replace Peterka's offense, and that has not come yet. So that's what we're...
I doubt it's coming today, but who knows? There's a lot of time for that move to happen. We'll see.
Nick Bakay for a couple. Yeah, sorry, Nick.
So much bad news. It seems like so much bad vibes about Peterka now that he's on his way out, right? Didn't have any inkling of that. We'll see if that's just a way to sort of put this thing in a tidy bow, or if it was real. But he seemed like he worked his way out. You know what they say? The a-holes are like splinters. They work their way out. We'll see.
To follow that, so how are you? Are you like, is it sort of cognitive dissonance for you, or maybe not, to have like Florida and Vegas and Tampa? Like, these are the places that are doing almost all of the winning.
It's bizarre, isn't it? It's all Tampa and Florida and Vegas. I know. And obviously, I won't even mention the ex-Sabre factor, but it's so upsetting. It's so bizarre. I know but I will say, you can watch the playoffs and not dig what the Panthers are all about. That's just great hockey. Yeah. And it's a little bit old school. I loved it. I have to admit, I reluctantly kind of got on board that train because I was enjoying watching it. Even Marchand.
Yes, I know. I'm waiting to say, even Marchand. Yes. It's crazy. I feel gross saying it, but I admit, I liked him there.
Oh, well, this is where we've been driven to this. It's like, back in the 60s and 70s, I was a huge Oakland Raider fan when the Bills sucked, because they were sort of my playoff girlfriend, Yeah. And I also always felt like Oakland was sort of the Buffalo of California. It all kind of worked for me. I made it work, know. But this is what you got to do something during the playoffs. We're not going to start watching. I don't know. I'm not going to start watching some sport I have no concept of. And, playoff hockey remains the best thing going. I don't care who's in it. It's great.
Yeah, I don't mean this as harsh as it'll sound, but it's almost like picking a team in a sports league that you're not in. I mean, pick an NBA team that sort of meets your fancy, because we're not sort of, at least you and I maybe, on a day-to-day basis, comparing the Sabres with the eventual Stanley Cup winners.
Right.
It's just too far away. So you can end up maybe sort of liking a team like that. And it wasn't Toronto, Nick. It wasn't Toronto in the end.
No, I didn't think so. No, and that always feels good. Come on.
Rude on a Canada Day, perhaps. So, well, glad
it's not Canada Day. It's Bulldog Day.
It's Bulldog Day. That's right. Let's get this in the proper order. Thanks for finding time for us, as always.
Of course. Happy birthday, brother.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick. Means a lot. Really. Thanks.
Nick Bakay on the West Her Hotline. What a celebration of life.
So I knew, you told me, you tipped me off about Rob Ray. So I knew Rob, and I had booked Paul, and so I knew Paul, obviously. Like, these are the, and Rob fit with it being free agency day anyway, but, still, he and I go back to when I first started. I saw, like, the YouTube thing was firing up when we were starting the show, and all he had was Rob Ray on there. Like, did Zach obviously knew about. He's been calling these people.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Like, did you tell them not to put any of these guests on the thing because you thought I'd see it?
Basically.
Yeah. Wow. Good job.
I didn't so much communicate with G as I did just with Zach. Like,
right.
I made sure everybody out there knew too, like the guests, that you were not expecting them.
All right. Well, good job.
So everybody, nobody turned you down. I can say that.
Wow, that's nice.
They're happy to do whatever you need.
Well, Zach's on the phone. Should I be worried?
Not worried.
Don't worry about it. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Also trying to keep us on topic.
Yeah.
There was one moment there during Krautwurst where I think you were eager to be like, I'm adding up the numbers on the Sabres forwards here, guys. I think you're maybe just wanting to do your part to make sure everybody knew we were not forgetting about the fact that it was July 1st. And I for one, appreciated that. I think we needed that. That was the right instinct, I thought.
Okay. Well, I'm here for you. Yeah.
And Nick is watching every Sabres game from California.
Yeah.
He is that fan.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's not a put on.
Yeah, he can talk Paterka.
Yeah, yeah.
So too, I think, in our next guest, Danny Gare. Now, Danny has been on for your birthday before, I think. Does that sound right, Danny? Have we done this before?
I believe it was when he was a little younger, though.
Yeah, no, you definitely were a birthday surprise in the past.
Happy 60th, Bulldog.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Danny. Really, really nice. Thank you. Nice to hear from you. How's my favorite all-time Sabre doing?
He's doing good. I got back about a month ago. I spent my winters in Tampa, but came up for Rob Ray's Hall of Fame induction and did a few games. And I'm back here. I'm going to go down to the development camp Thursday to watch a little bit and say hi to everybody. But all good. Yeah, all good.
Excellent. By the way, when Bulldog asks you, how's my all-time favorite Sabre doing, you're supposed to be like, oh, Mel Davis, I don't know, we lost touch. Or anybody. You can pick from 1,000 guys probably for that. Whoever you like, Danny. Whoever you like. But, no, it's true. It's true. You're his number one.
No, that's quite an honor, to be honest with you, because, we go back a long ways, and he appreciated hard work, I think, and popped in a few goals here and there, but...
More than a few, my bud.
Yeah.
More than a few at this point.
We had great teams back then, and it was a great time to be in Buffalo. And it's always nice to be back here and spending the summer with my family and grandkids, and hopefully I'll get to see you guys shortly.
I would look forward to that. You know what I'm thinking of here? You're such a good guy, and you've been my favorite for so long. I've said that for many years on the air here. So much so that my son Owen, I don't remember how old he was. He was playing hockey. He'd been to the building. He knew who you were. He knew your number was hanging up there. And we ran. You and I crossed paths. He was with me. We crossed paths like I was leaving a charity event and you were just coming in or something. Right. And we were in the parking lot and we stopped and chatted for a few minutes. And he was so impressed that that I knew you to like stop and talk to you, not just like talk to you on the radio, not just talk about you on the radio, but like that you were like Danny's like, hey Bulldog, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Like, bro hugs and the whole thing. And he was just like, this is so cool. So thanks for that.
No problem. It's funny. I ran into a bunch of guys. I was at the 11-day hockey, which they do such a wonderful job on Sunday, the closing ceremonies. And
right.
Ran into Alan Davis, your boss, and I said to him, I'd like to have him get on with Bulldog and Schopp. He says, well, Bulldog's birthday is, and I forgot about it, And then I'm listening on the radio. I said, I got to call him and see if I can just wish him the best on his 60th and many more years to come, my friend.
Danny, what might you have to offer on the current Sabres, the state of things, and on July 1st? It can be frustrating, fans often wanting more from them, but I don't know. Are you hopeful?
Yeah. today was, I watched, there really wasn't much after Marner went and a couple other guys went. I mean, there really wasn't a lot that was out there that I felt, but I thought the move, Peterka, who I always enjoyed his goal scoring, but I think, it's a 200-foot rink, and I didn't know how much. I've heard rumors that he maybe obviously didn't enjoy being here as much, and wanted to move on. So I like the fact that, Jason Doan's got great pedigree. I knew his dad, Shane, at a different events that I've been with, and the NHL alumni and things like that. Great player. So there's some upside there. He's big. He's got some physical size to him. And Kesselring, is that how you say it?
Yep.
Yeah. He's a kid that I think, too, I watched him in the World Championships when he played with Tage Thompson, and he kind of jumped out at me, when I watched some of the games. And I think he can be an upside, and they talked about him. You guys have heard, too, and Paul Hamilton, some of the guys talking about the fact that maybe he could be a good fit for Owen Power, to maybe raise the bar for him a little more. But, I think, and you look at this team, the size is a big part of it. When I'm fortunate, I get to watch some pretty good teams in Florida, the Lightning and the Panthers. So I get a pretty good feel of what good teams are about. And a lot of it for me is, out-competing teams, and being, physical and hard to compete against and do anything that will win, and you have to find those players and have a fit for those type of players. And I think Lindy's trying to put his stamp on it, along with Kevin and the staff. And I really think, too, it's funny, the other day I got a call from an old friend and teammate, Wayne Gretzky. And Gretzky I talk to, every once in a while. He's down in Florida. I played golf with him a few times. He's a big Sabre fan. He grew up in Brantford, Ontario. Gilbert was his favorite player growing up and watched us play. And he's always, asking about what's going on. And he likes what, some of the things they've done. And it's obviously disappointing that not making the playoffs as long as they have. But he said, I think the one thing that's going to help Kevin a lot is Jarmo Kukalainen, because as a senior advisor, and he says this guy's kind of been out on a limb. And the experience-wise from Jarmo gives him, I think someone to rebound things off of, and Jarmo's had that experience, as a general manager, and also Eric Stahl. I mean, I've met Eric when I was doing broadcasts. I was always impressed with him doing interviews and talking to him. I think he can help, with the younger groups and development and finding character guys that can play and want to win. So I think those moves outside of, the player personnel, as far as the team goes, I think those were good moves for the Sabres.
Danny, just a couple of minutes here before you go. The scene in Florida, like we can see the atmosphere in the building. The Panthers have won 2 in a row, been to 3 straight finals. Tampa has had a long, successful run too. Do you notice it living in Florida? Do you notice it outside from just like in the arena? Like, is there a Panthers sort of scene with the fans, or is it really confined to, whatever they used to say about the Rangers, I think, for this? Like, however many seats.
It's funny you say that, Chopey, because I went to the first playoff game against the Panthers and the Lightning this year. Mm-hmm. The first game, which the Panthers beat them, I think, 5-2 or something. But the electricity outside the building in Tampa, and it's like that, I'm sure, over in Pantherville. And it was just amazing. I forgot how exciting playoff hockey was. Obviously, I haven't been here to see any, but it was great. It was a great atmosphere. And the people in Tampa, I mean, I started with the Lightning with Phil Esposito when he got the team. And that's another thing that Wayne Gretzky said. He said, Phil should get a lot of kudos for having, brought hockey to Florida, So it's amazing to see the growth of the game down there and how exciting, people are, and the cups that have been won by the Lightning and the Panthers. So good for the game.
Very good. It's great to hear your voice again, Danny. Thanks for today.
You guys too. And Bulldog, have a pop on me tonight, okay?
You got it, Danny. Thanks. Means a lot, really.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, Danny. What was I going for with the Rangers? Like, however many seats are in Madison Square Garden, is how many hockey fans
That's how
there
many
are?
hockey fans are in New York. Like, whatever, 20,000. Like, that's it. Yeah, right.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go indeed.
Any big moves while we've been talking to Nick and Danny?
No.
In the last 20 minutes?
No,
Not yet?
Nothing. No.
All right. Rob Ray with us earlier, also in the spirit of Bulldog's birthday and evaluating where the Sabres are at. We'll have our conversation with Rob for you next. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, WGR.